to get your information. Total Spoon to be part of our discussion. Spoon television. Spoon radio station. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Monrovia. Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Africa. Just to spoon you will know. If the children crying for starvation, just to spoon. You want to get a news update, my brother, to spoon. You want to know what is happening in Monrovia, to spoon. Politicians want to make their decision, just to spoon. You want to know what happening in the ministry, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. You from Funjama, Maryland, to spoon. Yeah, to spoon. If you eat get congratulate my brother, to spoon. You got a Spoon TV, you got a Spoon Radio, to spoon.
Yeah, Cassie.
Yeah, Rastafari. Kiribaba, kiribaba, kiribaba. Kiribaba, kiribaba, kiribaba.
Okay. Good evening, wherever you are, whatever you are doing. Welcome to yet another edition of the Spoon Talk right here on Spoon FM 107.5 megahertz, Spoon TV, Fabric 101.1, and Fabric TV Super 95.5. And of course, Super TV. My name is Yekezi Zobel, sitting in this beautiful Thursday evening as your producer, and it's good to always be here. Let's now go over to Dr. Richardson, and good day to kickstart the show. Good evening.
Yekezi, hello. Good day. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. Come on.
Yo, let God be God. Yekezi,
Yep,
how are you?
I'm okay. How yourself?
Yeah, not bad.
Good to hear.
Well, we're here again. It's another day of providing information to Liberia. This is the Liberian People Station. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to be alive. Had a good day today. Blessed that I'm at the age where I don't have to work too hard. So want to welcome our audience and welcome everyone who's watching Spoon. This is your station. We appreciate you being here today. So I'm going to go over to Yekesi to give us the trending news in Liberia. And then we're going to go on to Good Day. And as you probably will see later, the panelists will be joining us. They'll be coming in. Councilor Lamy is not in the studio yet. I see his name over there. So he's going to be joining us as well. But so after we get the trending news, I'm going to personally call out some of your names, just welcoming you because I like to do that. You took the time to be here today, and I appreciate you being here. So, Yekesi, what's going on in Liberia?
Yeah, so there are a lot of trending issues in Liberia currently. But some of those major trending issues has to do with the National Elections Commission on today announcing the preliminary results of the phase 2 of the biometric voter registration, which ended May 11. And the chairperson of the commission, Deviata Brown Lasana, today put The total number of registrants in the 9 counties to 1,033,724. And she also went on by, breaking down the numbers as per the various counties. And just to point out some of those counties, like Riverside County, she said accumulated 40,201 registrants. Sano County, 56,011 registrants. Lofa County, 177,892 registrants. Maryland County, 69,034 registrants. River G, 37,912. Nimba County, 308,421 registrants. Also, Bone County had 237,463 persons registering in the just ended biometric voter registration process.
So
Yeah. So yeah.
So can you put that back up, James? It looks like the more people than any other county so far registered in Nimba. Then Bone County came next, and then I'm seeing Lofa. Interesting, very interesting. So that's how the breakdown
for the second phase.
Yes, that's phase 2 until we get to Grand Cape Margibi. I don't see that other phase. Yes. So that's based on this phase. That's what it looks like. These amount of people register in these counties. Let me also, James, have you done an analysis of the numbers from last year? I'm just curious to see the increase in whether there were increase or decrease in registering compared to the different counties in. I guess maybe it's too early to tell. Maybe we'll wait until all the phases are done. I think it'd be a good thing to kind of see whether there was where the increase and decrease happened, and also it will also be good to see the overall numbers. I think the website is up now, NEC website, so we can find those numbers from last year.
Yeah. So
I can't hear you. I don't know if you're talking to us, but we can't hear you. Muted. Go ahead, Yekesi.
Yeah, I said there were decrease. Yeah, Yekesi, go ahead.
Oh,
there were decrease in Nimba, in Lofa, and Bone.
Really? Oh, wow, interesting.
Yeah, Yekesi, go ahead.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this phase is the last phase. So the neck only had two phases. The first phase comprised 6 counties, and the second phase comprised 9 counties. So the second phase is the second and is the last phase. And according to the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, the final results, that is the combined results for both phases, will be announced before the exhibition of the registration roll, which she said will begin on the 12th of June. And also, the senator from Sano County, Augustine Chie, he had just confirmed a statement made by the U.S. ambassador a few months ago, about service centers across the country being ineffective or not operating, and also health facilities across some of the counties, not receiving allotments, that were budgeted for them. And he spoke today at the floor of the Liberian Senate. So, according to him, particularly in Sano County, the various service centers across the county, and also some health facilities, they are ineffective as a result of a lack of budgetary allotment, and that just corroborated the statement from the U.S. ambassador Michael McCarthy, who posted of recent that most of the health centers in the various counties have not received allotments, and the service centers as well. A lot of them have been rendered ineffective. Okay, and also today, Integrity Watch Liberia, in collaboration with the United Nations Women, officially launched a project that is aimed at promoting gender responsive planning and budgeting as a tool for electoral accountability, to be able to address gender-based violence and promote women's participation. And that launch was attended by the Minister of Gender, Social and Social Protection, Children and Social Protection, Wilmita Sedita. And at that program, she welcomed the efforts of Integrity Watch Liberia and other civil society organizations, for bringing about such program to bridge the gap between, men and women in the country. So far, so good. Those are some of the trending happenings in the country now.
Awesome. Great. James, do you have anything to chime in?
Okay. Yeah, like what Yekezi said, the communication from the Sano County senator also led to the Senate passing a motion to invite the finance minister to give a summary of the budget performance. That is, to give them budget performance report, to tell them why some of these health facilities across the country are not benefiting from the budget, or why did they not benefit, why this information is coming up. So that motion was raised by Senator Dillon, and majority of the senators voted. So by next week, Tuesday, he should be appearing. But another senator raised a concern that the Minister of Finance should come. Teji raised a concern that the Minister of Finance should come along with the Health Minister, but that was not included in Senator Dillon's motion. Specifically, his motion was about the Finance Minister coming up. So next week, we are expected to listen to them explaining why, that is specifically the Finance Minister, regarding the outgoing U.S. ambassador concern and many Liberian concern. And another one that came out, Senator Dillon also raised this major concern that almost all Liberians have been talking about, that has to do with Legis. As we may be aware, several months ago, Legis conducted the 2022 census, and they came up with the preliminary result that they reported that we are 5.2 million people, and we are still awaiting the full result. That is the final result. So Senator Dillon today raised a concern, and that was also passed. That motion was also passed. He raised a concern that the legislature should write legislation informing them to give update on the quote-unquote census that were conducted since they came out with the preliminary result. They should come up with the full result, so Liberians will use the statistic that will come from there to use it to give them informed decision ahead of the 2023 elections and future elections. He raised another one. He said, because of the delay of legislation, NEC already concluded the voter registration process. The two phases, they completed them already without the country having its population report. We don't know how many people in the country, but now we have about 2 million plus people who have been registered preliminarily by NEC. So that motion was raised by Dillon, Senator Dillon, and it got passed. So the legislature, specifically the Senate, instructed their secretary to write legislation informing them to give update on the census. So we should be looking up to them maybe next week or in the coming weeks. We will get update regarding the total number of people in the country. But preliminarily, we are still at 5.2.
Great. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Al Fadiga to the show. Thanks for joining me, Al. I have a question. I saw something today, and Spoon was there. There was a hearing that was supposed to be with the Revenue Department. Am I correct? Did I hear correctly? I don't know. James, would you know anything about that?
Yeah, I saw it briefly, but that time I was busy on something, so I did not follow.
Sure. Okay. I just wanted to see if there was any finality to it in terms of, how did the hearing go? What questions were asked? If it's continuing until tomorrow or what's going to happen. So I just wanted to find out more details about that. Can you see if you can track down that video for me, James?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So very good. Anything else from both of you, Yekezi and Good Day? Anything else before we go to the panelists?
Yeah. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so today, the Ministry of Information held its regular press briefing, where the minister addressed the briefing and, called on Liberians to kind of stop blaming the government, for losing the recent drug case at Criminal Court C at the Temple of Justice, because since those who were, allegedly involved into the case, were exonerated of the several charges that were levied against them. There have been a lot of criticisms against the government of doing, little or nothing to, convince the court or to provide, evidence in court, to prove that those guys were actually linked to the act. So the Minister of Information is calling on Liberians not to blame the government, for losing the case. He said the government did all it could, to win the case, but unfortunately, it did not win the case.
Yeah, just before we go, after that finding or after the final judgment, we read from Front Page Africa newspaper where the Justice Minister confirmed to Liberians that those who were exonerated already left the country. But I have a source within the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency who has been updating me. Instead of what the Justice Minister told us, that my source told me that the individuals involved are staying in the country and they are expected to leave Liberia on Sunday via Aska Airline. And the Drugs Enforcement Agency has mandated its officers who are assigned at the that is who will escort them to the RRA, not to allow people to take their pictures. So according to that person who is also at the top within the Drugs Enforcement Agency, the person said to me, it is a diversionary tactic that the Justice Minister is doing. The people, they are stay here and our bosses are aware of them. they will escort them to the airport and they will be leaving the country on Sunday. Since they came out with that on Sunday, the person also contacted me this morning. The person said they changed the date. They were to leave today earlier in the morning, but it's like the information leaked, so they had to change the date. They went back to their real time, which is on Sunday. And I tried reaching out to the police because I listened to the justice minister, or I read that they should rearrest them. And I don't know, the police are those who I reached out to, they are not responding. Yeah, all those who should be ahead of it, I reach out to them, nobody responding. So I don't know, but they are still in the country according to that source, who is within the LDEA. Yeah.
Wow. This drug story can't finish. It got long, long, long tails. So, did you guys hear anything? I was hearing sources telling me about PYJ being on some network today, stating that Prince Johnson called him. I'm sorry, Taylor called him.
Yes, my friend told me. My friend watched him. She told me, but I did not really watch. Maybe I will watch it.
So maybe the
My friend was
panelists,
watching.
if they heard it, they can chime in on that. So guys, I want to welcome all of you, Mo Ali, Daniel Sano, Councillor Lamy, and I just want to welcome you to Spoon Talk. I'm looking forward to having an excellent show today. Let me just welcome some of our viewers. I always like to do that because they took their time to be here with us. So I'd like to welcome Jimmy Gray, Brenda Daniel, Mr. Kate, Abdul Senwa, Theophilus Karena, and Gutter Morris, Gloria Foka Mulba. She's always here. Call, how are you? Patrick Smith, Clarence Benson from Hamilton, Canada. Call K. Dolo, James Dennis, Edward. I miss Edward. It went by so fast. I missed your name here. Tipos PK Dempster is here. Tudi Gay is also here. Menja Andrew Masale is following. Edward Hall is here. Mamadi Salif is here. Thank you very much for being here. Vera Lippens is here. She says, good evening, my lovely Spoon family. Sifas Buller is saying that I never called his name. I'm calling your name today, Sifas. Jim Davis is here. Bookman's son is also here. Fanny Dennis is here. Olin DeWalt is watching. This stuff is going so fast, so please bear with me. Bala Flomo, but I can't say or pronounce your last name, so I'll leave it like that. Asa Flomo is also watching. Robert Boca is watching. Alexander Fala is also watching. So want to welcome all of you to the show. We'll just start by asking you, the panelists, to just give us and tell us what's on your mind. And then hopefully we're going to go on to the topic about the legislators asking for hearing and how that might be a good thing for our country when, they can have these different ministries come in. So I would like to hear your thoughts about that as well. So Mo Ali, Saramo, Fadiga, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to go in the order of how you came in. Fadiga, I'm going to go to you and just ask you to give your thoughts. 2 minutes, please. Can you guys just abide by the time frame just to not monopolize the show and give everybody a chance to speak? I would appreciate that. Go ahead, Fadiga.
Well, I have a lot on my mind. Well, social media is going crazy, but a couple of things. I saw the Sport for Peace. The government is not shy of always preaching peace, but like they say one thing and do another thing. The surest way to preserve peace in Liberia is to respect the rule of law and protect the people so that they do not take law in their own hands. And you yourself should not be the one to instigate violence. The counter protests, those are all recipe for conflict, and the government seems to be the one perpetrating most of those things. So Just something that the guys could hear that keep preserving the peace require every Liberian and especially the government. Another thing again that I wanted to talk about, I listened to Buffett Chima and Abachi going after the ambassador. I want to tell you guys are training on a dangerous path. You do not want to mess with Uncle Sam, especially given all the different allegations that are irrefutable. I listened to Dillon. Look, I wish we had more Dillon in the Senate. The place is corrupt, but at least the guy is making some effort. If we can have two people that you say the pretend like Dillon, Liberia, I think we have a better place. I see him and I see some sincerity in his advocacy and what he's doing there, and I hope he could be able to bring more people inside to be a voice in that place because there isn't any check and balance in our government anymore. The president have just been given carte blanche to do whatever he wants. So for the last 5 years, he's just been running the government as he saw fit. I will leave it at that. I know there are a lot of good things that you said during the summary. I don't want to jump ahead of that, and I'll wait until we get into the discussion.
Thank you, Fadiga. I just want to welcome you, Moali. I actually didn't do that. Somebody just reminded me. I don't know. I thought I did, but welcome to the show. Daniel, your thoughts, what's on your mind? You can share that with us, and then we'll go to Council Lami, and then we'll go to Moali. You muted or we can't hear you.
Well, thank you. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. There are a lot of issues that are trending right now, but specifically, I would like to place emphasis on what has been trending of late. I think the conversation surrounding what the government of Liberia should begin to do when it comes to fighting drugs and substances, illegal substances among young people is key for our country. I'm saying this deliberately because there's a trend in our country where something happens, it doesn't suffice beyond, let's say, 9 to 10 days. And I would want us, as a platform that is widely followed, I thought to place premium on that because I have a fair appreciation as to the kind of damage that these illegal substances has caused our country. We are lost in a whole generation, and we're looking forward to the legislature going beyond what they are talking about. The Inquisition is good. Normally, we follow international politics. We see the U.S. Congress setting up special committees to probe into an incident or issues of matters of national concern. So we are hopeful that this one can be brought to finality so that we can know what actually went wrong, and if there's a need for some rigorous policy adjustment, those steps can be taken as a country so we can move forward. Next, I also like to throw light on the numbers that have been released by the National Elections Commission. I think those numbers are not very encouraging because our democracy is only stronger when there is what you call inclusivity. Many persons have to participate. I think the limited period for the voter registration, which was not done simultaneously around the country, didn't afford many Liberians the opportunity to turn out to register to vote. And so therefore you see there's a decline in some of the numbers that have been put up there to some of the counties. So
Mr. Sana, you have 2
yes.
minutes up. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. We're now going to go to Councillor Lami Parkour, and then we'll go to Moali.
So still, for me, I'm also interested in the issue about the drug case that was lost. I received some of the case file today. and started reading through it. So I spent a considerable amount of the day trying to inform myself about actually what happened. Um, and it looks like it's a case that should have been won. For what I've seen so far, it's a case that should have been won because even though I'm not a police person, but I mean, being a lawyer and following some of these things before, looking at the facts available, I'm not too sure what went wrong. But so far, it seems like maybe the way the investigation was done left some loopholes that could have been exploited by the lawyers for the defense. So I mean, that shows that we have to do something serious about the issue of how we run our systems. Um, and so we need to pay keen attention to these things. And I mean, all the different speculations that came out initially about whether people were bribed and stuff like that. Looking at the facts now and reading what happened and talking to different people, it doesn't seem like anything like that happened. It happens that probably they didn't pay keen attention to how they should have investigated this matter and how they should have carried out the arrest. And I mean, they probably were not thinking about a spirited defense being put forward, and maybe that's the reason why they lost the case. But I'm still reading the file. There are probably other things will come up as I read it. But this also shows that apart from the drug issue, the issue of transparency and accountability in our country, we have to pay more attention to it. We cannot
Councillor
continue
Lamy, my
doing
alarm
business
just.
as usual all the time and expect that
Councillor
we
Lamy,
will get a different result. I mean, that's the definition, the
Councillor, are
textbook
you hearing
definition
me?
of insanity, and we've been doing that over and over. So I think
I
we
don't
should
think
not
the
allow
councillor
this
can
drug
hear
issue
me.
to
Can
go
somebody
away.
tell him that his
It's
time
very
is up?
important going forward.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I can see. Yes,
okay,
please.
yeah, I rest my
Thank
case so
you.
far.
Thank you. I have an alarm here, so you will hear it as well. Um, Mwali, your thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. Let me say good evening to everyone. I want to pick up from where Councillor Kpagoy ended on this drug issue. And we might want to talk about a whole night and all the time. I wouldn't give up because it's something that is destroying Liberia. I've got some credible information on why the government, in fact, lost the case. It is not because the government did not have strong evidence. They did. They had all the evidence, the pieces of evidence that they needed. But the first thing the government did, because they are in cahoot with the guys, they put the wrong people on trial. That is the information I got from credible sources. Those who they're supposed to put on trial, they let them go. Then they put the wrong people on trial. Now, when you put the wrong people on trial, we don't even know much about the whole thing. Maybe some small men in the street who just ought to go receive container account to do. They didn't really know anything about it. Go put them on trial. Even the jurors will sit down there. They will see that, yeah, big guy, they know that they're really innocent. No need to can't disturb them. But the real people, they let them go because the real people bribe them. Like I said the other night, they bribe them. They give them money for their campaign. I'm sure they're supposed to give them some pickups, or they've already given them some new pickups. And so there was no way they were going to win a case. You hid the real evidence. You put the wrong people on trial. No way you're going to win that case. The jurors too, they're not stupid. They see it. They say, well, maybe the government say he won't win a case. So it is a whole syndicate that they have. The second thing I want to talk about, I made a post today and people misunderstood it.
Mwali, my alarm
Yeah.
going. My alarm is telling me that your 2 minutes is up. Can you save that thoughts? I mean, can you save those thoughts?
I have a suggestion, Dr. Richardson.
Yeah, tell me.
My 2 minutes are really short though.
Maybe you should just allow the speaker to conclude on his line of thought before you interrupt him with time. I mean, I can understand that you are time conscious, but it's a public discourse. If the person is in flight and they don't conclude, it becomes a problem for the audience.
Actually, it's not really about me being time conscious, although I am time conscious. I'm trying to just make sure everybody have an opportunity to speak, because some of us we're very verbose and others, they're not. So if you guys can, tell me that you give each other the time to speak, you be conscious of that, then I don't have to do that. I don't even like keeping the time because it's distracting to me. So if you can just have like a lady and gentleman's agreement that you'll be mindful of others on the show, that you will not monopolize the time, then that would be great. Is that okay with us? Good. Okay, then it's Mwali. Yeah, Mwali, please go ahead and
yes. Thank you, Dr. Richardson. I wanted to bring something to light today. That's why I made a post. In the census, the 2022 census, they told us that Grenjida, the population increased by 73%, from 125,000 to 200 plus thousand. Now, one would expect that the voter registration will have, corresponding increase. But I believe, you see, when you look at the Grenjida, something there, Dr. Richardson, the Grenjida registration increased by just 566 registered voters. In the census, they increased that number by 73%. Cape Mount used to be the 7th largest county in terms of population. From the voter registration, Cape Mount still remains the 7th largest. How come you have increment of 73%? It does not correspond to the voter registration. And I will just end on the thought quickly. They have increased that number from the census with the thought that we're going to allow them to increase the Grenjida number, so that voting time they will say, oh yeah, that the number here, that what we got from Grenjida. But the lie were on the census team, we couldn't be on there like that. That was why I was trying to communicate today. Thank you.
Yes, may I say something about that? Dr. Richardson, may I say something about that?
Yes, please add some valid points, Wally.
So more, the issue of census counts everybody. Voter registration only count people who are eligible to vote. So that may account for the discrepancy. So it's very possible that the people who were counted in Grenjida in the census, it includes everybody, including foreigners. You know that in the Grenjida area, there are a lot of Ivorians that come over to do farming. So it's very possible there is because of that, it has skewed the population demographic in the area. So to try to do a correlation between voter registration and census, that may not be too good.
Councilor Kpago, I don't agree.
Yeah.
I don't
Can you let him finish first? More, I beg you, let his thoughts. I beg you.
So I thought to just point out that census data, for census, you are capturing everybody that is in the area at a specific time. For voter registration, it's only Liberians who reach a certain age that can vote. So that census number includes babies, it includes everybody below 18 years old. For the voter registration, it's only people 18 and above. So I mean, it could be the reason why the voter registration numbers do not seem to tally with the census number. It may not be anything nefarious.
Okay, thank you very much. Mwali, any thoughts about that?
Dr. Richardson, you follow patterns in number. You follow patterns. When you follow the patterns for all the other counties, right? They flow with the increase in the census. I am saying you cannot have 91,000 plus additional person, and then you have only 566. So except you telling us that the majority of those were foreigners, number one. Number two, that almost all of them were underage, which is not possible. Look at all the other counties. There was a sinister motive for which they did the astronomical increment in Grenjida. That is my point.
No, but more that the census number only affects the demarcation of constituencies and other, budgetary issues and stuff like that. It doesn't impact elections per se. So they may inflate the census number because they want more legislative seats in a particular area. That could be an argument that you can make. But when you try to when you try to draw lines of parallels between the census numbers and the voter registration numbers, you may not be getting the argument too good. That's my point I'm making to you. There are two distinct things. One of them captures everybody, and the other one captures only Liberians and people of a certain age group. So you got to take that into consideration also.
Yeah, but Councilor, I mean, Dr. Richardson, can I say
Sure,
something?
come in, and then Fadiga will come in.
Okay, thank you. But you see, what Mo is saying is that the proportion, you got to look at the proportion to which the number is increasing or is declining. If you have a 75% increment in the number of, people living in Grand Gila County, that increment should also be reflected in the people who have acquired the age to vote in the country. But if it is the other way around, then it raises doubt on the credibility of the number. Like what he's saying, he's not saying that all those who are in the county supposed to be registered voter. You agree with me when there's a 75% increment in the number of people who live there, that has to also commensurate with the number of registered voters. But if the number of registered voters on the other hand is declining, then why it was in 2017, or it's just increasing by some 2,000 or 300%, then it raises question. That's what he's saying.
Research on why that population increase happened. As I said, there are a lot of Ivorians that come to the Grand Gila area to do farming. And some people, they say even Burkina Faso people come there to do farming. These people will be captured in the census data, but they will not be captured in the electoral or registration data. So you can do a demographic study on what caused that shift in population growth and why is that commensurating with the election data. You cannot just conclude that somebody wanted to lie or to be nefarious in their actions. You can't just make that conclusion. That's the point I'm making.
I think I kind of agree. I kind of agree with Lamir. In as much as we can question, it looks questionable, the numbers that are out there. I myself, when you look at the number, but one of the things that the census have not done is have not broken down the different demographic of people in that place. Now, one of the things that it should have done, like male and female, children, certain age, and all those things, until we can have a detail of the makeup of the population in there, it's very hard to just pin it on one thing. The good thing, and if what Lamir is saying is true, which could well be true, people moving from down there, even in America, when they do census, it doesn't matter whether you are legal immigrant or illegal. They just want to know everybody that in the country. So that could explain why the number went up. And then it's also a good explanation for why is it that those that are legal Liberian that are either age 18 or above, and I have the right citizenship to vote. That is why that number is little, because but then the weirdest thing is, where did the rest of the number come from? They cannot be babies that were born. That's the question there. Where did that number come from? Instead, we're having mass migration, and it doesn't seem so. We have more questions than answer.
Yes.
So I think we need to.
The reason I don't agree with this argument entirely, because Grand Gila is not one of the counties that is noted for mass migration. You have Lofa, for example. Lofa, you got people coming from Guinea, you got people coming from Sierra Leone. You got Nimba. Of course, you got people coming from Guinea. Mass migration. Why they don't have that astronomical increment in the number of registered, those who were counted in the census? Why not Maryland? Maryland also borders with Ivory Coast. Why not Cape Mount? Cape Mount borders with Sierra Leone. So why is it only Grand Gila? Is it a peculiar case?
Good question.
It could be. Well, the government said they carry light there to build 10 homes. Probably that could be the reason. They build free homes for the people in Grand Gila and Sano. So, but we need more information. I think that,
absolutely.
Let's just need to provide more information on
absolutely
that population.
Exactly. Let's just needs to tell us something is not right there. I feel
Yeah.
that the voter registration exposes what happened during the census.
Yes.
So, Mo, I don't think Leges, because the accusation is that Leges massage the numbers, right? So if it depends on the scene Leges to come and explain what happened, that would be like relying on the person who you accuse of committing the crime to explain the crime to you. So what you should do is there are academics in this country that
Independent.
work in demography. So they should now take that data and do an analysis around it. You know, that would present an independent picture, or go on the ground and do an analysis of the situation that Legis has presented. But if you decide to rely on Legis, I mean, the accusation is that Legis has massaged the numbers. If you go back to them, what do you think they're going to tell you? They won't tell you anything serious.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are making some really solid points. I would be interested in knowing like the people 18 and older in Grand Gila County, and then also knowing the people who register to vote, and then looking at those two numbers and seeing what happened. What happened? There was either a decrease or increase, and that will, I believe, with other additional information, will help me draw some conclusions. But you guys made some.
I
Really,
think another question.
Mhm.
I
Go
think
ahead.
one place to start is the legislature, because the legislature, I think, is supposed to approve that number. They need to start asking the hard question that, hey,
So Hassan,
make this make sense.
I mean, Hussein, if you look at it from the census, Grand Gila got the highest increment, 73%. But from the voter registration, Grand Gila got the least increment, 1%. When you see there, you see Grand Gila, they got the highest, 73%
Grand Gila.
from the census. But then when it comes to the voter registration, they got the least, 566, 1% increment.
Probably they born a lot of babies.
That alone is sufficient ground for reasonable suspicion.
No, probably
Yes.
they born a lot of babies and they got
And they born a lot of babies.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility, because
That's
between
a
2017 and now, if they went on a population increase spree, all those kids that were born between 2017 and now, they will not be eligible to register to vote. So even if you go back a few years, all the
Then I have
children
to
born
give
with
it to the Grand
it's
Gileans,
possible. That's a possibility.
I say I have to give it to them.
Well, you know, I mean, again, you guys are raising such really interesting points. This is what happens when we have vacuum of information in our country. We actually would not be having such a prolonged conversation about, you know, these numbers if people were doing their jobs, you know, giving us the numbers. What's the problem? Why can't we just get these numbers? Why can't they hire, like you said, I mean, an independent body to assess and analyze the numbers? You know, then at least I wouldn't be feeling like, well, how Mo Ali is feeling like something is happening in Grand Gila that we don't know about. How come a country, I mean, a county, you know, is borning so many children as it looks like? You know, what's happening there? And that should be an important thing for us to study as well. Does that mean that they will be eligible to get increase in the legislative seat? Is that what we head into? So
That's the whole idea behind the census thing.
But
The census thing is to increase the legislative numbers. That's the whole idea behind it.
No, the sense
That's the
that is a
whole idea
wrong
behind
that's a wrong conclusion, because the census data is not going to be used to set new a constituency boundary for this. No, it's not.
You know, if
Because
it's not going to be used, that doesn't mean that it's not supposed to be used. That what it's supposed to be used to redelineate constituencies. That what that the data you're supposed to use. So I mean, how will you redelineate constituencies if you don't use that data? The whole idea
The
behind the
argument,
messaging of those numbers,
that the number was inflicted because they want new political boundaries or constituencies to be created.
that's the idea behind
I
it.
said
That's the reason.
it's not going to work because the legislature has not received the final report yet, and NEC cannot use that data to set new political boundaries. That's what I'm saying.
But is it NEC
So,
that has a responsibility? to set the political boundaries?
Apparently, one possible inference could be that if the CDC-led government inflicted the numbers deliberately in Grand Gila with the hope that they would have had the opportunity to inflate to have the
voter
number also
registration
inflated
number.
for the voter registration. But because opposition figures, I mean, were very tightly monitoring the voter registration process, so they never had the opportunity. You saw them at some point in time in the Southeast region recruiting small children to go and register. now that the NEC has spoken, all those who have not acquired the age of 18 that will compel or somehow coerce the register will be removed from the list. So they didn't just succeed in having a game plan, but the actual game plan was to have the voter registration number commensurate with what was in the census report. But that there would have been no ground for suspicion and doubt.
What about Sano? Do you have any number, the number of voter registered voters in Sano?
Yes, Sino is the last there. In 2017, they have 47,952. And this time around, they have 56,011, I think so, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And then so the DVR 8,059.
Yeah, that increment is 8,059.
Wow.
Monserrato,
Buffalo too.
Monserrato had the biggest, 113,698. And then I think Margibi next. Margibi has somewhere around. Mapolo had less.
Yeah, 2,000.
Yeah,
well,
Mapolo.
Well, if I'm the opposition today, the opposition should be at least, I won't say we're happy, but it doesn't look bad for the opposition. I mean, if you really look at it.
No, absolutely, you're right, Hussein. It
doesn't look bad, right? Yeah.
So, I wanted to just ask you guys a point that Donna Stano made. How do you think NEC is going to go about now cleaning up the voters registration roll? How will they be able to determine, that who was younger than 18? What, given the way our country is? I mean, it's not like we have. How do you think they're going to go about doing that?
I think they're going after duplicates. I don't think it's about age, because those people that went there, they put an age that will probably be 18. They will not be 18.
I will say, Dr. Richardson is asking a very great question, because NEC made a pronouncement that people underage register. When we raised the point, they said no, there were no underage person registering. Now they came out and made a pronouncement that underage people register. I too want to ask the question: how did they determine now? When we were saying it, they said no. How did they now determine that those?
I don't think they can determine it. I don't think they can determine. The only thing here is the poll.
But yes, a point. Yes, a point. Fadiga.
Sano, wait. Sano, will let Fadiga finish? Yeah.
I think that the only thing that we can do now is to have poll washer that will make sure first the ID matches whoever going to that poll. 1, 2, make sure that they look that age. If they don't look 18, even if they, except when it's midget or something, if they don't look 18, they're not voting. I think that's the only thing that we can do, because as far as cleaning up, I think they're just going to go after duplicates.
Sano, come in, and then Walia, you look like you want to come in, and then Mr. Lamy,
some of the photographs that we saw on social media from the Southeastern region were very deplorable. I mean, in Liberia, though, we argue that Liberians, morphology are not huge, are not big in size, but when you see an underage person, typically you're gonna know. So some of the photos that we saw from the Southeastern region that were published on social media, I see some of the cases were like ongoing interrogation. They were showing the ID card, the pictures were taken, everything. So you don't need to be a parent to know that child has not acquired the age of 18 and the person was allowed to register the vote. So, of course, it becomes a difficult thing. NEC cannot sit on 9th Street and determine who is 18 or above, right? They don't have the sophistication for that. So, I think the underage people who managed to have gotten on the biometric registration stuff, our pool washers now can wash up for them on election day. That is the only way we can get it out, because when you see somebody who is not 18 years, you can challenge a person. It is level the person to prove it. Okay, but the damage has already been done. As for the multiple registering, the moment NEC starts to synchronize the data, all of the double registrings, multiple registering will automatically start to reflect. That's what they have said to the political parties. And if you go to the NEC office, they sorting it out every day. You can see those who register multiple times. What they have said is that following the process, they're going to publish all of the names of double registering in the newspaper and ask the police to arrest them because the action is against the laws of Liberia. We don't know how applicable is that to go after people who register 2 times. The police will not know obviously the whereabouts, so it also becomes a problem. But the good thing is once they can be sorted out, and maybe next we maintain the first. If I register in Montserrat County and I was struck to Margibi or Riverside register, maybe the first one I register in the system is what they're going to maintain, and then the remaining one going to be removed from the system.
Yes, thank you. This is a letter that Wali and what is prompting my question. If you look at the second paragraph, says Sarah duplicates, which Sandra you just addressed, and underage registrations are being detected, and their voter information deactivated until further investigation. So, how are they detecting this underage registration? Maybe there was flagged at the time of registration. We don't know. We'll keep our eyes and ears open for further information. But did you want to chime in, Councilor Lamy? And then we'll go to more.
I agree with
thoughts on this topic. We'll move to the next topic. Yes, go ahead.
I agree with seeing that you can find the duplicate registrants, but to determine whether somebody is underage after the person has registered, that's illogical. That's absolutely illogical. So either at the time of registration, the person provided the wrong information and they shouldn't have been registered in the first place. So why would someone come and tell you that, in fact, the system should be set up such that if the person gave you an age that below 18, automatically is rejected. The person is rejected. So what sense it makes for NEC to be telling us that they discover underage registration? That's illogical. It doesn't make any sense. The duplicate registration, obviously, because of the biometric features and the facial recognition software that they have, they can be able to tell whether someone appears in the data multiple times. And for people like that, I don't even think they should take one of the registration. Automatically, they should be struck off the list because they have attempted to do something criminal. So there's absolutely no reason even why you would keep somebody like that and say, I will keep them in Montserrat and take them all of Grand Bassa. The person consciously left Montserrat County, registered in Montserrat County, went to Grand Bassa and registered again. That person should not even be allowed to vote. That person should be sitting in a prison cell after being convicted.
But can I say something?
Before you come in, we'll move on. But before you come in, Councilor, do you know if there's any law that says anyone that attempts to defraud the election process should be automatically?
Yes, it's in the elections law. It's in the elections law.
Okay. Okay. All right. Come in, and then Wally, our final thoughts before we go on to the drug issues.
It's even in the code of conduct. So something you were saying about putting the injury, I think that would be too harsh. The thing here is, I know, but this is another place that I think this will work. If you register in Montserrat County and they see you in Nima County and they decide to keep Nima County, automatically you can't vote in Montserrat County. That means you're not going to vote. Or is it possible for you to vote anywhere? Because if your name don't show up in Montserrat County, so I think a lot of people would not be able to did that, would not be able to vote either way, because there is no way that to know which one it was accepted or rejected. You understand what I'm saying? So if you let's say you register in Montserrat County, you went in Grandmaster, you register again, and then NEC doing the sorting out, they don't know where you really live. So they could cancel Montserrat County, and if you live in Montserrat County, now you have to be forced to go Bikina or Grandmaster to vote. If you can't make it, automatically you're not voting. So a lot of people I either way I see this is bad for the government, because that trick that they're playing, I see a lot of the people not being able to vote. If they made that mistake, a lot of them will not be able to vote.
Yeah. Okay.
So Fadiga, on cleaning the voter roll. For those who did double registration, what the NEC has said is that the first registration you did is what they're going to consider. Because the way it used to happen, somebody will leave from here, go register in Cape Mount, they come back to Morovia and register here, they go to another county, Basso, and register there. On voting day, some of them, and then you have people within Montserrat, they may register to this center, they leave from there, go to the next center and register. But let me say something to Councilor Pagoy. When people go register, like these kids, they are not going to call date of birth that will be below 18. because the system will automatically detect that you're below 18. So normally they coach them, and when they go, the date of birth and year they call is above 18. And why it is true that the Richardson, you can't just look at people to determine whether they're 18 or not. But if you look at the kid in the middle, and this one, the three of them, you can tell exactly that they are way below 18. Well, these kids maybe the 13, 14. But my qualm is with NEC. You look at the kind of people and register them. What were they thinking to even register them? We had something like that happening at PCS. They begin what talk, but when they ask him for his age, his date of birth, he called something else. That fell below 18. Then they tell him, go call your man. Marking the man say, they may get no hospital record on him, and all the lady had the hospital record, they review everything go. He could not register because the people believe, the pool washers were there from all the political parties. They believe that the first date of birth he called and the year was his actual age. And later he wanted to increase it because the system had already detected that he was below 18. And so, but to the question that Dr. Richardson asked, when you just look at the ID card, to just determine from the ID card that a person is below 18 is going to be an extremely difficult thing.
So, but the thing about it is that we come back to the issue of the rule of law, right?
Yes.
There should be no reason why anybody should be breaking the law and then we'll be saying that we'll give the person a pass. We shouldn't give anybody a pass. That's the reason why. I mean, no case, I agree. You can't just look at, I know somebody who's in the late 20s, and every time I ask people, how old is that person? They always say the person is 15 years old or 14 years old. But I know the person is 27. I know that for sure. And the person is 27. But every time, because I always try to test it. How old is that person? They always say 14 or 15 years old. So sometimes just by looking at the person is not enough. We don't have any age tester in our eyes. None of us have it. And now the reason why you see African football teams used to go to the Under 18 World Cup and win it, because the old people will go and say they are 16, 15 years old, they will lie in the reverse. But the bottom line here is, if we're punishing people for doing wrong, we will not have this situation. Every time you catch somebody who goes and lies in order to get a benefit that they shouldn't get, you should throw the book at that person. That serves as a deterrence. But my brother Fadika is saying that when somebody registers twice, just take one of the name off the list. No, you should take all the name off the list. And if you can get hold of that person should spend some time in prison.
But the reason why I'm saying
we can go on to our next topic.
There's some light on that. The reason why I'm saying that it's not that I want to condone it. The thing here is our democracy is still, we are still nurturing it. We don't want to, some people don't even want to go vote. So we have to do it now so that we can get everybody to vote. But you got a point. I mean, if they commit a crime, I think they should be punished.
Yes. Yeah. So it's good. I think maybe eventually on another show we need to just prepare some kind of recommendation for NEC or give them. Maybe I'll just one of these shows I'll ask your final recommendation for NEC, because we're going to have elections again and we really need to be prepared. I know.
Daniel, can you mute and see?
Madam Davietta Brown did say she wasn't getting sufficient funding from the government, so that is an issue. I believe that somebody should be called in to hear why they're not funding the election process. And this is such an important subject because it impacts our democracy and our elections that are coming up. But let's turn our attention now to this drug case, because many of you mentioned it in the beginning of our conversation, and it is the talk of the country. A lot of people are talking about what happened.
Dr. Richardson, just before you move to the next topic, I just wanted to say that we all try to encourage more women to participate in our body politics. So the political leader of the Movement for One Liberia, Mandela Kopo, will be having a major press conference tomorrow. And I just received that information at the headquarters of the Movement for One Liberia. That press conference will be held at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And she's going to speak to the nation to talk about some of the important issues as we brace ourselves for the 2023 presidential and legislative elections.
Yes, thank you for that announcement. I'm sure that there will be others as we go along. But so, can we transition now to the drug case that's happened in Liberia? I know that there was a call for us not to talk about the case and to blame the government. But again, there's a vacuum of information that leaves us to have a conversation about these cases. So I heard, Councillor Lamin said his theory about what happened was the investigation has some loopholes in it. Okay, and that is telling. That is actually telling about our security apparatus, our security sector in the country. So y'all can expand on that. And I also heard him say something about the carry out the arrest. The way how to carry out the arrest. Maybe you can expand on that, Councilor Lamy. Not thinking about the impact. And then I heard Mo Ali also, y'all can also expand on that. Mo Ali said he learned from reliable sources that the people that were held responsible for the drugs, the people that were put on trial were not the perpetrator of the people who brought the drugs in. So what is going on? I'm going to start with you, Fadika, to give your views about this drug. This drug case is so serious in our country, man. Really serious.
My thing on this drug case, I don't know. With everything that this government going through, you would think that it would just get one thing right, but it's making it so obvious. The drug case was the biggest we have seen in the country. It made international attention, and yet and still the government still carry on. Like let me say, like it's hard to really say what went on if we don't know. But one thing, Councillor Lamieux said that had me thinking was they probably charged. I think it was Mo Ali that said it. They probably charged the wrong person, and somebody said that or made that statement on Facebook all the time because, here's a container that came, so they knew who brought this container. They knew that it came from Brazil with what alleged to be pig feet in it. Who did they arrest? Who are those that went to court? According to Front Page Africa, are those guys that try to purchase the content within the container. So this container that should be valued at $30,000, they offered $200,000, went on to $400,000, and then up to $1 million. Raised concern and something. So are those guys that try to purchase the value, the content of the container, are those the people that went to court? Even me, not a lawyer, I don't think that in itself is a crime. I may be wrong. You will say, oh, maybe because why would you want to buy something 30,000? If I'm a crazy man, I want to buy something that worth $1 and 20,000. I'm just a crazy man. That doesn't make me a criminal, even though drugs. So I don't know what happened, but there are so many moving parts to this until we can get a copy of the transcript. These things should be public record now that the guys are free. Hope the government will make those document public record that we'll be able to peruse through them and make decisions, because it's just hard to know what happened. I want to blame the jury. It could be the jury. They could be bribed. It could also be a lot of things. But just based on what we read from Front Page Africa and what we know now, they may have gotten the wrong people.
Yes. So thank you, Fadiga. We're going to go on to Daniel Sanu. Daniel, can you integrate into your response, why is it that they can't track down the shipping information of this drug? Don't you think that's an important evidence?
But that's where I was coming from, because when I listen to Fadiga saying that the people who ship the container are different from those who offer the bid to buy the container with some $1 million story, which raised eyebrow for which were arrested. They eventually end up to be cocaine, the container. I think all of these things were deliberately done from the get-go. the intent therefore was to create a loophole in the system, which makes it difficult. That when if the whole syndicate is exposed, it makes it difficult to even get anybody arrested and prosecuted and sent to prison. For me, that's why they did. That is why the government will even deliberately ignore all of the factual information in its possession, because the government controls the port of interest of the restricted area. Nobody just takes port from me, continue from abroad and bring it straight into the free port of Monrovia. Okay. We also received information that the continuum, the drug was tracked and discovered as a result of the help of the United States Security Agency. So it is very easy for the government library to track everything. But the story that they're telling the Liberian people here is not a factual story. And while they talk to the court, they made no mistake. It was deliberately calculated that this case will be messed up from day one. And even if he succeeded in carrying the people to court press charges, no court will convict them because they are not the right people. That's their own justification. But even they assume that the people in whose hands they continue lending are not the people who ship it. There could be a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So that is still no basis for a judgment for acquittal. That is no basis for acquittal. If somebody stole a grip full of money from the bank and came and placed it in my house, I have the fiduciary responsibility. To report the money. I have my private bank account. If a suspicious transfer is made to my bank account, I'm under obligation to report that to the authority. I cannot take the money and divert it to my personal use. Okay, so if people brought the container in the country and another group of lender in the hands of another group of people who were not the ones who ship it to the country, it still does not set them free when it is discovered that it continues. There's something called buyer beware. So the container you purchase from the people contain illegal substances, contraband under Liberian law. So you can be arrested and prosecuted for that. So the whole story that the government did not take the right evidence to court. They arrested the wrong people. I still do not believe that the government didn't know what it was doing from the beginning. Because if a man who was just in the business of arranging hotel room for the guys who brought the drug into the country was arrested, the government should even go beyond just arresting the errand boy for the people and arresting the main people. So all of these things, the whole story surrounding the $100 million worth of drugs is a side story for our country. Again, like I said the other night, it undermines the fight against drugs and substance abuse in our country. And some of the little effort that Senator Dillon, people that Senator Dillon are making. By this time, the CDC-led government should be telling us that we are going to build a rehab in every district in this country. Because every district now has a Zogo, an association of Zogos. What are we doing to address it? Instead of helping to curb the situation, we are further exacerbating it. So, I wouldn't want to get anybody off the hook of the government and the people who brought the drugs into the country. Like I said, 100 million worth of drugs will not be transported to Liberia without the knowledge and acquiescence of somebody on the ground who will be playing a middleman role. It is that middleman that undermine every potential step to have people prosecuted and convicted.
So how is that middleman able to get away? That's my question. So we're gonna go to
the middleman is obviously an insider who would definitely try to circumvent the system, because under our law, in criminal cases, the prosecution is on obligation to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt.
Correct.
Whenever there's a doubt, the lawyer is here. Whenever there's a doubt in a criminal case, the court will take the side of the accused. And that's exactly what happened in this case. So they deliberately created a doubt that couldn't be addressed, and therefore the jury could not set these people. The jury could not convict these people. So they had no option to set them free. It was deliberate.
Wow, not good for our country, the justice system. And I think it exposes how drug gets into the country, and hence the drug problems that we have right now. Because just imagine that, this amount of drugs were caught entering the country. What about the drugs that are coming in now that are impacting the youth of our country and the adults?
And just before you move ahead, I listened to Councilor Babot talking about the Burkinabes, the Ivorians that are in the Leeward areas, rural Nima, Grand Coup, Grand Gilet, they are the ones that are bringing the drugs in. Somebody told me that if you think ghettos are on the increase in the city center, go to the gold camp. Go to the gold camp. So you see, we cannot control the port of entry of Freeport, where the government can lock and carry the key home and say we lock the port. We're more about the porous border points that we have across this country.
You got a point, Angel. I'm being hopeful that things are not as bad. But yes, you got a point, Tanya. Let's go to Councillor Bako. What are your thoughts on this?
So, Doc, I will not say whether there was a conspiracy to lose the trial, especially after informing myself, because I'm still reading the case files.
Sure.
If you see this big document. This is one of the files from the trial. I got about 800 pages of document that I've been going through. From what I've seen so far, the case was a winnable case. Those people who were on trial, they knew about the drug.
Yeah.
For all that I've seen, the testimony that I've seen, the police report of their investigation, it appears to me that they knew what was in the container, and that's the reason why they went for the container. The people who were interviewed, they said they came, they went to this place. I think this shipping company.
Yeah.
Or this company that sells frozen product.
Yes.
And they said they wanted to buy a container. In some of the testimony, they said they wanted to buy 2 containers. So I'm not too sure whether it was 1 container or 2 containers.
Okay.
But there were 2 different shipments, right? One was a 40 million shipment, and the other was a 100 million shipment, I think. So maybe those were the 2 containers. And one of the people who the police interrogated said the guys wanted to buy a specific container. Yeah, they wanted to buy a specific container. They didn't want to buy any container, but a specific container.
So do you think they may have knew what was in the container?
They knew what was there. They said they were buying frozen food to take to Cote d'Ivoire. That's why they told the police in the testimony, yeah. And they wanted to buy the container of frozen product to take to Cote d'Ivoire. So one of the people they were trying to do the transaction with, apparently the people from the company that had custody of the container apparently did not know what was in the container, because they do the frozen things, and they told the guys that they don't sell by container, they sell by retail. But the people insisted that they wanted to buy the whole container because they were traveling to Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, who takes frozen product from Liberia to Cote d'Ivoire? Is that logical? It's not. But this is what they told the police. This is what they told the police. And the transaction issue, I think where the whole process went wrong was how they raided the containers. When the people, now the container, when the container left the premises, they stopped the container and they took custody, or they opened it and they arrested the people. So if you only saw somebody with a whole container, obviously the drug in the container will not be on the manifest. So if you saw someone with the whole container and you arrested the person, just as Hussein was saying, the person could basically say, I don't know the content of the container. The other guy from Guinea-Bissau said a friend of his told him to come to Liberia for them to do gold business. He has no idea what this thing is. They took his phone from him when they arrested the container. They took his phone from him. He doesn't know whether they are the ones that put the photographs of the container in there. But the investigator said they saw the photographs of the identical container in his phone, meaning that it was already, the photographs were already there before they arrested him. So I mean, so far I'm going through the files.
Sure.
But from all that I see so far, just by looking at the police investigation, it seems like these people who were arrested, at least some of them knew exactly what they were into. There's a Liberian guy who said he didn't know these people. He said somebody called him from abroad, a business partner of his called him from abroad and told him that there are some people who needed his assistance. So the people called him. They said they wanted to rent a car, even though they had a car, but they wanted to rent a car from him. He rented a car to them for $150 per day, and he started going back and forth with them, taking them around to these places. When the arrest was done, he fled. He and I think 2 of the other people fled to Sierra Leone that night. They fled. So, and normally people who are in law enforcement, when you flee, what does it suggest? It suggests guilt, right?
Get some pictures.
So
Yes, guilt.
they fled, and from his testimony, he's trying to suggest that he knew nothing of the operation. It was when they were leaving Liberia to Sierra Leone from Douala, and in a car, the guy started talking, and then he got scared because he realized there was something wrong. He called somebody back here. The person told him to come back. The police needed to talk to him, but he did not come back. He stayed with these people. They got to the border. After the border had closed, because for us, they can pull lag on the border just as Sando said about the Freeport, they can pull lag on the border and leave. They can lock the gate. So they got there. The border is closed. They used a canoe, an illegal crossing, and got into Sierra Leone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they used an illegal crossing. So why were these people, and this Liberian guy stayed with them? So why did he, although he said when he got to the border, he said he wanted to come back, and they told him no, he should stay with them, blah, blah, blah. So he stayed with them. They crossed over through an illegal crossing, got on the Sierra Leone side. They were stopped at Zimi. They stayed at Zimi till the next morning. They took them to Freetown. They were under arrest until they brought them back to Liberia. So why did he flee? If he had nothing to do with this thing, if it was me, I won't go anywhere. I will stay and say I do.
So I'm going to come back to you, Councillor Parker, because I have a question. But let me go to get more Alice, because you thinking that they just arrested the wrong people, and there's leaning to something is going on, like something is going on in the country for you more. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, Dr. Richardson, I know that Councillor Serena Seaforth and the Justice Minister, they were never friendly when he was there, but he wrote a piece which actually goes on to prove some of the things that I've said.
Mm-hmm.
Let me read the second paragraph in what he wrote, and then I will read a conclusion.
Okay. Did you send that to Jean so all else can read with you, man? But go ahead, go read it.
Yeah, he said, no, in the first paragraph, he said, the Minister of Justice indictment in the 100 million cocaine case, charging the crimes of money laundering, unlicensed possession of controlled drugs, unlicensed importation of controlled drugs, and criminal conspiracy was a complete charade. He said the police investigative report upon which the indictment was drawn was inconclusive. It is said in its conclusion that the funding for the continuation of the investigation was needed. I mean, the police needed money to investigate. There was a lot that was left undone, and the police raised a red flag about the alleged refusal of TRH, that one of the person who imported, and Bilal Ibrahim and their collaborator to cooperate with the investigation and to ascertain as to how these containers were imported. Now, I'd like to go to his conclusion. He said, I will forward to you that to where he needs to share it. He said, based on the foregoing facts and circumstances, we believe that the entire trial that was more of a wild goose chase due to the lack of evidence. Is it a trial? Yeah. And therefore, the President of the Republic of Liberia should appoint a special independent counsel to investigate and prosecute the actual culprit involved in the US 100 million cocaine case.
Wow. That's indictment.
You heard that?
Yes.
Yes. So he said the actual culprit. So I have not read his piece, but I got this information from somebody. Now, here's the former Solicitor General saying the people they prosecuted. Why I agree with Daniel Sando and Labi and the others that, yeah, the fact that these guys were even taking these guys around, they had some information, but they were not the real people. And the former Solicitor General named the real people in the hope. It's a long piece, so you can't read all, but he named the real people there.
The actual culprit. The actual culprit.
Yes. The actual culprit. Now, so the people who they prosecuted, they probably were not the actual culprit because he had a whole lot of names here. And those are not the names that we saw over there. The defense, all the people. So, but for me, what is sad about this entire drug incident is that even the Justice Ministry is not cognizant of or they are pretending not to know the calamity that is befalling this country when it comes to the drugs issue. Because to have this magnitude of drugs, and I am one person who do not believe that they actually bring all that cocaine or something, but to have the kind of case in which you're supposed to set a precedent to discourage people from bringing the kind of drugs into the country, whether it is for Liberia or to use Liberia as the distribution point. You're supposed to use this as a case to discourage other people. And you just let it slide in the first place. Or Daily Observer reported, they say in less than 1 week time, the prosecution already finished submitting their evidence.
Wow.
Some of these cases we can be following, they can go whole month, they get prosecuted. Even our funny electoral cases. So that it takes 2-3 weeks to just present some funny evidence. This one, 100 million, continual food of drug. They went there less than 1 month, they say we finish submitting evidence. They were not serious to prosecute anything. They were not serious to bring the real culprit to justice, and they just let it slide. And the motive behind it is that they were bribed. Period. I sent it to James, so he will forward it to.
Thank you. Thank you. So, but I have so there's something I'm hearing from all of you guys is that the investigative arm, they are complaining that they don't have enough money. Do you think, or do you know, if we ask for help with the international partner, and I'm one of the last persons to want to rely on the international community, did we ask for help, and did you guys know was that, because it almost seems like there's an international involvement into this case. There's the drug scheme from somewhere and landed on our shore. So did we ask for help? Do you guys know, and what role that might play if we did? Because the investigative arm is saying, well, we didn't have enough money. I heard somebody say, I think the police investigation say, well, there was no money. If there's no money, then maybe they just sat and folded their hand, or maybe like Daniel Sanders would say, maybe that was part of the conspiracy. I don't know. Yeah, you agree? Yeah. Okay. Father God, what's your thoughts? And then we'll move on to, it's 5:30. We'll take some phone calls to move on.
It's hard not to believe that the government is involved. Honestly, we saw this president being dragged to the CIA headquarters. Nobody up to now was still questioning, wondering what happened. We saw, look, if I was President Weah, I would be very concerned. Look, President Weah has a history of palling with people that have drug problems. There was a place in Europe called Wiati. There's a guy there called Benin, I think Benin, some time ago. That guy was busted for drugs trafficking. There was a guy called Jim Bestman, a very notorious drug dealer in the around you guys area there. Mm-hmm. Jim Bestman was busted with George Weah in the house. That Bestman went. Apparently he didn't know. But if you read the case transcript, I was fortunate to have the original FBI transcript of the case. Some of those things that they didn't even make it in the news. George Weah was there. 100 million, and then I think there was another 140 million case comes to your country. The Americans warn you. You're thinking that you will say, you know what, I won't put my hand down. You're American people, you can't help out with their kids because it's bigger than us. You go to trial with mountain of evidence. No, I ship container. I know that before you ship container, you leave a long paper trail.
Yes.
This container that came with PV from Brazil or somewhere in South America come to Liberia. The company that brought it, everything that received the shipment, it was shipped by someone. And then we just see few people that tried to purchase the container were arrested. I mean, the evidence was just clear. I don't know where they went wrong, but I know what they could have done. They could have enlisted probably the United States government. I know they could have paid more attention to this case. But if you listen to Musa Belete, I don't think he was looking at it. I don't think they even took the case seriously. Because Musa Belete is saying, don't blame the government. What you expected us to do? And they're like, no, this is $100+ million worth of drugs that came into your country. And you prosecute those people and they think made BBC. News don't just make BBC until they are headline around the world.
Yes.
So $100 million drugs. I think so. I would be surprised if somebody in the government, someone very, very close to the president, doesn't know about it, because these things do not just fly by easily. And for a country corrupt as Liberia, the government knows something about it. I think the president and someone in his inner circle knows something about this government, and they put their feet on the scale of justice that tip it in those guys' favor.
Yes. Councilor Lamy, I'm getting news in the back here that Councilor Good, Lafayette Good is in the back. Is that true? Is that correct? You know anything about
Yeah,
it?
I think so. I think he's trying to connect. So can you bring him on?
Good day. Can someone bring Councilor? He has additional knowledge about the drugs, right? Is that it?
He seems to be having some difficulties.
Okay. So, Councilor Lamy, let me just clarify. So he has additional information about the drug case for us, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's one of the Justice Ministry prosecutors. So
Okay.
he can provide more context to this matter. He's one of the prosecutors.
Okay, great.
I'm not too sure whether he was in the courtroom on this matter, but he works in the county attorney's office.
Okay.
He's one of the prosecutors in the Ministry of Justice.
Yeah, great.
I hope it's not going to lay in trouble, because the government doesn't take the kind of thing for granted.
So another thing we need to ask, Fadiga, we need to ask, what's about the pre-shipment inspection?
That's why I'm saying there is a paper trail.
We pay a lot of money for this pre-shipment inspection, right? So where do they feature in all these things?
Oh, Beaver has something to say about it. There's a letter. It should be in there. I put it in there. Beaver has something to say about it that they.
What did they say, Fadiga? You remember?
I can't put it in there. I can't remember. But it should be in the room there. Something. I think Beaver. It was in the front page of Africa. Beaver said, if I can remember, they didn't know what was in it. They did a job and something like that to that effect.
Wow. Well, as we wait to get Councilor Good on, let's just prepare our questions for him, because apparently he has some accessibility to the case. He has some access to it. So let's just prepare questions for him, because we have a lot of questions. What happened is what we want to know. So as we wait, how does this kind of pan out for the Liberian people as we look at the leadership? The leadership in terms of changing our justice system that will work in favor of the Liberian people, because some of the shortcoming of having drugs coming to our country is it affects the young generation. It affects our adults. It affects a lot of people in the country, as you guys are telling me, like the establishments of these different ghettos. Young people are getting addicted to drugs. So what does this say about the leadership in our country, and what Liberian people should look for in terms of leadership now? We're waiting for Councilor Good to come on. So I want to start with Daniel Sanu. Will go to you. We'll just go to you, and then go to Fadiga, and then go to Councilor Lapo, and then come to Mwali.
You want me to go ahead?
Councilor Gu is asking if he's on.
Oh, is he on? I don't know. I can't even see. I don't know. Somebody will have to tell me.
Asking, maybe you need to.
He's not on. He has to log back in. Let him restart his device. His camera is not connecting. Yeah.
Okay. So this whole case reflects very poorly on our government.
Can I proceed?
Yes, go proceed, Daniel.
Well, I was just saying that the not guilty verdict on the $100 million worth of drugs case, I coupled with other governance malpractices, is a bad omen for our country, and particularly for the CDC-led government. All of us on this platform and Liberians who are listening to us have a very fair appreciation of where the country has come from. If if we are became president of Liberia and he could not attract any investment for Liberia, he could not build new roads, he could not create new job for the people. All of us will live with the fact that he never had an international connection and to do everything, but we will not live to accept the fact that the we-are-led government is doing those things that have the proclivity to take the country backward. Because one thing that we all do not want to happen to Liberia is to see this country retrogress into chaos. Now, what is now happening from the geopolitical perspective, what is now happening is that the Wagner group from Russia is penetrating into West Africa. You see what happening in Burkina Faso, what happening in Mali, what happening in neighboring Guinea. Russia is trying to find her boots on the ground in Africa, and they are using instability, and drug is associated with instability. So the illegal flow of drugs on the African continent is no mistake. It's a well-calculated attempt to penetrate societies that are vulnerable, spark instability, and instill puppet regime that will be loyal to Putin instead of the West. That's what's happening. So beyond just, the judiciary playing dilly-dally with the 100 million drugs cases, it's a bigger picture that we are looking at. It's a bigger picture. Wow. We see democracy systematically deconstructed in countries in Africa that were strong. So we have to be careful. The action of the we are government has a very negative reflection on this country from a geopolitical perspective. Because I do believe that the fact that we has found it very difficult to make his way, in Washington. He does not have anybody in his government that can pull the necessary screen to make things happen for his government. I'm told they went to America, tried to meet Donald Trump, they met Rudy Giuliani, they gave sufficient money for him. They couldn't make a convincing case of Donald Trump. Fast forward to President Biden, they're not finding a way. So they now turn into illegal means of survival. And so the discovery of the drugs and many other incidents is no coincidence. It is a state-sponsored attempt by the weird government to buy into the narrative from the Russian that are now penetrating the continent of Africa. Undermining democracy and instilling their own government for the sake of having control on the African continent. We have to be very mindful. So on the overall, everything that is happening here, we are looking at it from the local perspective, but they are dire, they are disastrous, they are consequential implications from a geopolitical perspective that we have to be mindful of. Because when hell break loose, Mr. Weah and his government official will be the first to charter the next plane. Already Mr. Weah has a private jetpack at RIA. So he wouldn't have problem leaving the country. It is us, the ordinary people, who are going to feel the pinch. So we have to be mindful. So yeah, to answer your question,
sure,
everything that's happening here, it has a very terrible reflection for our country, and we have to be very mindful, because what we do not want is to sit supinely and watch any government, be it a weird government or any government after, to take this country backward. That's what we don't want. So
sure.
We are here to say to Mr. Weah that he has to be very mindful. We are aware of the shady dealings with the Russian and other people already. There are testimonies available to the Americans that Mr. Weah got sufficient money from the Russian.
Daniel, you got muted. You are muted, Daniel.
Now that we are going to election, we have to be very mindful, because we already have information that Mr. Weah got sufficient money from the Russian to finance his campaign in 2017. Okay. So it will be no news if we are again go and cut a deal with the Russian that if he cannot win, they can spark instability. The Wagner mercenaries are all on the continent. Every day we read about them, we listen to the news. They are all on the continent. What are they doing here? They want to use weaker democracy. And how to do it is to use drugs and money to spark instability and undermine democracy. Liberia
Yes.
is no exception. Thank
Yes.
you.
So thank you. Just for programming purposes, Al Fadiga, you said earlier it was Musa Bilali who went. You meant Musa
Musa
Dean.
Din,
Yes,
Musa
Musa
Dean,
Dean. For
my brother
yes,
Jim
that's
was
a
just
point of
what
correct.
I was trying to put in.
Yes,
Yeah, I
thank you.
said,
Thank you.
you
So
know, I was talking about Musa the other day.
yeah,
It's
yeah, I
Musa Dean.
understand. I have to make those.
I post something in there that you have to read
Uh,
about what APM terminal said.
yeah.
I think Lami, you can look at that too.
Thank you. Thank
It's in
you.
the chat room.
But I want to just we're talking about the impact of leadership on the drug issues in our country. What can a competent leader do? And I think Sani was kind of addressing that a little bit. One that the leader has to be aware of the geopolitics. I mean, it may be at an arm's length right now, saying, okay, that's not a pressing issue, but a competent leader in our country has to be aware of the geopolitics, which brings in Russia into play here, as Sanu is saying, and that Russia has, the mindset of bringing drugs in our country to destabilize our democracy. It's not far fetched because, of course, Russia is in Ukraine right now and see what they're doing. But it is a leader, a good leader in the country, or if we have excellent leadership, they will kind of be aware of that. So I'm going to go on to Councillor.
So that
Yes.
Councillor Gu is on the line.
Okay.
Councillor
Good.
Gu is on the line, so I think we should take him. We've
Yes.
been
Let's do
trying to
that.
struggle, so he's on the full line in the studio.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Good, welcome to the program. I actually would like for you to please offer us additional information. Just kind of update us a little bit, and then we're going to take our time asking you at least one question each about the case.
Thank you. Okay, so let me say good evening to all of the panelists. I'm sorry that I cannot appear because I think screen, I'm having difficult time getting it on my machine, on my tablet. Well, I've not come tonight to justify or to give reasons why we lost the case or why we think we could have done more or whether we did less. What I've come to do is to provide information to the public about the process of having a jury trial. We had a jury trial, and normally when you have a jury trial, like I said the other night, you will expect two things. One, as a prosecutor, you will always expect a guilty verdict based on the evidence that you will proffer before the jury. The next, if you don't get a guilty verdict, in fact, there was three things I would say. I will add one more there. If you don't get a guilty verdict, you get a not guilty verdict. And it will still be based on the evidence that you expected to get a guilty verdict from. And the third outcome will be you get a hung verdict. That is, you could not obtain the number to get a guilty verdict, and the other side could not get the number to get an acquittal. So, like in the criminal case, you need 10. You need 9. I mean, it's 3/4. You need 9 out of 12 to say you're guilty or not guilty. So if you get anything below 9, that's hung verdict. It means you have to go for a new trial. If you get 9 going upward, in your favor, it means that you get a guilty verdict. as a prosecutor. If it goes against you, 9 or 10 or whatever
That's
number.
not good. For the sake of time, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Can we just move up to the case for us a little bit, just for the sake of time?
Yeah. So
Thank you.
I come in. But Dr. First, this is law we're talking. We're not talking politics yet. So I would not be giving the procedure, and rushing. And I don't think the public, because this is not for you, it's for the public. And your presentation or your questions will be asking will benefit the public as well. So that's what I was saying. And that's how I do my presentation. I take my time for people to understand it.
Well,
In the
yes,
case that
you're
just
doing
ended,
very well,
in the case
Counselor.
that
It's
just
just that
ended,
you're going through.
in the case that just ended,
Great, thank you.
we got a not guilty verdict.
Yes, that's where I want you to be.
We got a verdict of not guilty. Now the juror would not tell you why they brought down somebody guilty, neither would they tell you why they brought somebody down not guilty. There's no explanation from the juror. The only thing that is given to the juror is the instructions from the judge and the jury form. So when you get a verdict of guilty in your favor, it means that your evidence, as far as you're concerned, the juror were convinced with the evidence and they said the person guilty. If you get a not guilty verdict, it means that the juror was not satisfied with your evidence, even though in yourself you believe that your evidence was strong, was weighted enough, was overwhelming for you to get a guilty verdict. But the jury believes otherwise. The jury feel that they were not satisfied, it was not convincing. There exists reasonable doubt. When that happens in our jurisprudence here, we don't take appeal generally. When that happens, what do you do as a prosecutor? We go back to our drawing board and see where we may have gone wrong. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are currently doing. We are reviewing the evidence to see where we actually went wrong, because the jury didn't tell us where we went wrong. So we must now go back and review the evidence, review the procedure, and see where there were missteps. And when we find the gap, we ourselves will place ourselves in the position of the juror. That if I were a juror and this evidence comes before me, would I have ruled otherwise? If I will rule in the way of the jury, then I must be able to know why I will rule in the way the jury rule. So we will go now, and that's what we are doing, reviewing the evidence. And I tell you the truth, all of you panelists, there are some good information that you people are giving, though there are speculations, but speculation got some facts in it. We have to go back now and do our investigation, because if it is believed that we missed the right people and got the wrong people, then it means that the right people are still available. We must go for them. And when we're going for the right people this time, we must close all of the gaps. It means that we have determined that these were the areas that we had gaps. And these were the areas that we believe the jury saw and said the people are not guilty. We will close those gaps when we're going after the right people. So that's the information and that's the position that I have on this particular matter. And that's what we are doing. We're reviewing the evidence. We're going back to our drawing board. Okay, many persons say we prosecuted the wrong people. Fine. Then it means the right people are still available. Some of those who know the right people will call them in to help us with the investigation as well, to see how best we can grab and nab the right people. But for us to be continually, somebody got bribed, somebody this, and somebody that, for me, as a seasoned prosecutor, I would not thrive on that. I mean, people speak of the frustration. We all frustrated because I believe that the evidence will have overwhelming, like Lamin Pagwa said. Who evidence? But maybe there were missteps somewhere. Those are the areas, and all of the concerns that you people are raising, we're not taking those concerns lightly. We're not throwing those concerns in the gutter. We are taking those concerns very seriously, and we're going after to see some of the people who say they have information that certain things happen, that if we had it at the time as prosecutors, the case would not have gone the way it went. Then those people must be called to come in to assist us in that process. Because this is about Liberia. It's not about the government of Liberia. It is about our country. Drug is not only the drug does not affect the government of Liberia. It affects the user. So that's my position.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Good, for breaking it down for us. I appreciate, your solid presentation here. We're going to ask the panelists to ask you, at least one question before we go to the phone line. But I actually, you said you can go back and perhaps get the right person, which is true. And I'm glad that you guys are thinking about that. But the damage on the reputation of the justice system is already done. The fact that you guys lost this case has magnitude implications for the justice system. So I just wanted to put that out there. To me, anyway, that's what. But I'm glad that you guys are, studying your gaps and correcting your steps. So I'm actually going to go to Fadiga. Fadiga, could you please ask?
But Dr. Francine, just before you go for Dr. Francine, when you say the damage on the justice system is this and that, in criminal prosecution, our duty as lawyers, as prosecutors, is not to convict, but to ensure that justice is served. There's a win, there's a lose situation in prosecution, but justice has to be served. And we think that we give the persons who were accused justice. And so for me, I believe justice has been served. However, with all of what happened, and with all of what people are saying, we are taking those things into consideration to find out where we went wrong. This is why I said where we went wrong, and if we miss the actual people, then it means that the real people are still available. And if the real people are available, then we must go for them. And that is the process.
Yes. It's just an observation. It's not a point of arguing, where damage has already been done.
No problem.
Repetition of the justice system. It is just my thought. You can say that justice was done. I can say I don't know, because the evidence that you were supposed to convince the jurors was not compelling and convincing. So I don't know if justice was done or not. So I can say that, but I hear where you're coming from. But let's go to the questions right now. And Fadiga, your question to Councilor Good about the case.
So my good friend, welcome to the program. My question to you is, I want you to walk us through the jury and the judge verdict. What did the judge actually look at to acquit those people? What did he say? Whether in the court, I don't think I've read it in the news. What specifically did the judge look at to say, I don't think these guys are guilty, besides what the jury put out, or what did the jurists put out there?
But this is why I said, in this case, the judge didn't have anything to do but to instruct the jury. And the jury instruction that the judge will give will come from the lawyers on both sides. That is, they will inform the judge, to tell the judge how to instruct the jury. The judge, the prosecution will inform the judge and give the jury charge, and the judge will read out the jury's charge to the jury. The judge does not, he has nothing to do in this matter except. Yes. So
let me be more specific. Let me be more specific. Right? Or what were they charged with? How many charges were levied against them, and were they acquitted of everything?
Yes, of course. You have money laundering, you have drug trafficking, you have criminal conspiracy, and yes. And so, if money laundering would not lie, if drug trafficking would not lie, then criminal conspiracy would not lie as well, and facilitation would not lie as well.
Wow.
Okay. One more question,
well,
yes. Two questions.
If you are charged with conspiracy to commit a crime, because conspiracy is an inchoate offense. It is conspiracy to commit a crime. That means there's a crime that you must conspire to commit. So let's say you conspire to commit murder, and murder is not proven. It means that you have not conspired, because murder has to be proven before you be held for conspiracy to commit murder.
Because the conspiracy
was just a question when Hussein is finished.
The conspiracy is they try to purchase for $1 million a container that was 30 million. It ended up being 100 million worth of drugs. Was that the conspiracy that you guys were going after them? What was the conspiracy?
There were 4 persons. There are 4 persons that came to purchase. So it's obvious that the 4 of them that we have, we believe they planned, they organized, they orchestrated, they colluded to come and take possession of the drug. That's conspiracy. Conspiracy is plenty. They conspire. Even sometimes you're not even be on the scene, but you get even be outside and conspire with people who will commit the crime. Then you have the mean crime of drug, the trafficking. Then you have the issue of money.
These guys couldn't prove that. All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Hello?
So
but yes, again, Fariga, if you fail to prove money laundering, if somebody is charged of conspiring to commit money laundering and money laundering charge, the charge is not proven, obviously conspiracy will not hold.
Oh, okay. Mwali, I usually go to Daniel Sano, but Sano, can you allow Mwali to ask his question and then we'll come to you?
Because Daniel Sano spoke for it. Let me ask this question. And it's good that I'm not a lawyer, because sometimes when you're the lawyers and the police people do these charges, it can really make me vex. We have $100 million worth of drugs in the country. Then you go charge the people, you say conspiracy to do it. In my layman sense, when you're conspiring to do something, you do it. You say conspiring to do what? To traffic drug? The drug is there. You're hiding. You're buying the drug. Now the mean people who were all mentioned in this thing, Councilor, you left all of them out. Who then you're really prosecuted? Me, that's what I want to know. Is it the people that came from wherever to they can back continue that they believe have pig feet, or the real people who were involved with the drug? Who you actually prosecuted?
Mo Ali, we prosecuted 4 persons we prosecuted 4 persons that were acquitted.
That's what I want to know. Was it the people
you want to
who
know
came to ban it?
We prosecuted 4 persons that were acquitted. We didn't prosecute another person, all the 4 persons that were acquitted. Those are the people who prosecuted. And those are the people that is being seen by others, and legal pundits and people who viewing, and others who coming from outside with information that they were the wrong people. So our review of our evidence, when we establish that after yes, they were the wrong people, there are people who are available who should be, brought in other than how we took them to be. From the initial stage, we'll go for them. But we didn't prosecute any other person.
Is it true that you people never fully supported the police?
What?
Is it true? I saw a piece from the former Solicitor General. He's alleging that the police say that they never had enough logistics and money to conduct full investigation. Is that true? That the Justice Ministry never supported the
police? Ali, it was a police report that we used. So if the police had any logistical problem to have investigated, then it means that the report was inconclusive. They will assess as inconclusive. What we're saying here is that we used the police report, the police investigated, they brought the report to us, we took the report, went to the grand jury, we got an indictment, we prosecuted those persons that the police charged, and they were acquitted. There, we believe that there's a need for us to go back and review the evidence, since the jury will not tell us why they will kill somebody, for us to review the evidence and see whether and where we went wrong. And that is the process we're in. I don't know how can I say this. That is the process.
Councilor, good. Councilor,
we should be given the opportunity, because many persons believe that we prosecuted the wrong guy. Fine, great. And some of the people who are writing all around the place and saying we prosecuted the wrong guy, it means that they know the right guy and they are Liberians. We will encourage them to assist us in the review process and going forward to identify the actual people, to prosecute them. For me, I'm not going to sit on this platform and tell you that I will not want for us to proceed further. If somebody, my authority says otherwise, for me, I will proceed as an individual.
Councilor, I know it's very frustrating, trying to explain to Liberians what went wrong with this, huge case. I can hear in your voice, but just please bear with us. We're just trying to gather the information for the Liberian people. I want to squeeze in one question, and I don't want to forget before I go to Daniel Sanu. Please allow me to use your time a little bit, Daniel. There's a sense that this case was rushed, and you are saying to us here that you saw the police investigative report. Could you guys have said, something's not adding up with this report? It doesn't look right. Can we extend the time until we get sufficient evidence so that you can have a compelling, convincing case? Is that possible? Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the extension of your authority in that sense.
Dr. Francia, and the rest of you panelists, all of the strategies, all of the discussion that we have going forward with this case, we cannot bring it out to the public. What I can say to you, we have lost the case from the first phase. We go back to our drawing board. We review the evidence. We identify where we went wrong. If we missed the people, we'll go for the right people. Some of them will be in the country. We'll find in the country. We'll go for them, and we'll prosecute them. I think that's why we all Liberians should be wishing for. Since we missed them, because we'll go back and review it. If these are the wrong people, we'll prosecute them. Fine, we'll miss them. Whatever the case, they're gone. We will get the right ones. Some of the right ones will be in the country from our review process. But for me to come on the platform and say, oh, look, when our deliberation room, we said this, we said that, and this and that, we disagree at one point in time. No, I don't think it will be professional for me to come on this platform to provide such information.
You are very right, Councillor Good, about your professionalism on this platform. Although I didn't get the answer to my question, but is it possible that you could have made a legal judgment to say, okay, let me wait, something is not right with the evidence, let me wait to gather them, and then we can proceed. But anyway, Sanu, let me let Daniel Sanu come in, and then Fadika had a follow-up question, but let me let Sanu come because he waited along, and then we'll go to Councillor Lamy here.
Yes, let me say good evening to Councillor Gu. Now, I listened to him when he talked about the job of the lawyer is not to convict. The job of the prosecutor is not to convict. They made sure that they went to the court and they did the right thing, and the court had the obligation to either set the people free or convict the people. The jury decided to set the people free. I mean, I'm taken aback at that response because I do believe that the Ministry of Justice, the LMP, first of all, report directly to the Ministry of Justice. And the Ministry of Justice control the government prosecution arm, right? So if the government should lose or win cases, it will be determinant upon the level of professionalism that will be exhibited by the LMP, because the LMP in the instant case is the first responder, right? The first responder to every crime committed in Liberia. So, I mean, maybe from the explanation the council is giving here, I mean, I just want to throw it out to him that could it be that the LMP, I mean, wrongfully charge the people, and in the end, the Ministry of Justice did not have the evidence to prove the charges that were levied against the people. That's why the jury could not find them guilty. And counsel?
Going in the trial, we didn't believe that. If we had a belief, we would not have gone for the trial. We're going for the trial and we lost. We'll go back and review. The review process will bring out several other things. Maybe we ourselves didn't do right to go in depth to ask all the questions. Maybe we left out a particular piece of evidence. Maybe we left out somebody. So those are the things that we're going to review. And when we able to identify, because like I said to you, Daniel, so long the jury cannot give you any explanation, it's not the judge. If it was a bench trial, the judge would deal with the evidence one by one and give you reason why he ruled. He will give you reason why he ruled, the rationale behind his ruling. But in this case, there's no rationale. It's only the evidence. So we have to believe that the evidence did not satisfy the jury. Until we can prove otherwise, that maybe the jury was tampered with, which we have not established, which we have no evidence to, so we're not even going to bring that in for now. Maybe later we could have clue. But to the extent that we are, the jury was not satisfied with our evidence. Why was the jury not satisfied with our evidence when we were so convicted in ourselves that the evidence was strong? It's why now we're going to go review. As seasoned and well-schooled prosecutor, you go back and review. Even if it were the right people, as everybody would say, let's consider that they're the right people, and then they are found not guilty. It will give us, it will place us in the position that next time, when we have found the gaps in our case, next time we'll have a case of such, we'll know how to approach it.
Yeah, but Councillor, your answer is driving me to another point, because here's the thing. I mean, I do believe that the Ministry of Justice has professional and very meticulous lawyers.
But Daniel,
Daniel,
if it was a lawyer that was already asking me some of the question and the prosecutor asking me some of the question, I will understand. But a politician asking me a question, obviously,
no, I'm not me. I'm a criminal justice. This is not
the reason why, Daniel, and the reason why, just give me a chance more. The reason why I say we're talking sentimental, because only a lawyer like Lamin Kpago knows our code of professional ethics that says the duty of a prosecutor is not to convict but ensure that justice is served. You don't understand that. When I said that,
Councillor, wait a second. Councillor, we're doing our best to educate the Liberian people, and we're very thankful that you are here to help us. So I know that, we all are not lawyers, and you respect your colleague, Lamin Kpago. So, but just bear us. We have questions to ask you, okay? If you can't answer, just say, I can't answer for professional reasons.
We're asking all of ignorance.
No problem, Dr. President, no problem.
I still do believe that the government of Liberia has that fiduciary responsibility to ensure that people who operate in violation of the laws of Liberia are prosecuted and bear the full weight of the law. Okay, I don't just believe that it's just prosecution, as the councillor will have a belief, but how be it? I want to know that before the grand jury drew out the indictment against the people, there are professional lawyers who look at the case file from the preliminary stage of the investigation up to the Ministry of Justice before the indictment was filed by the grand jury and everything. I mean, are you in any way suggesting or saying to us that you didn't see this coming? Or as a lawyer representing the government, didn't you see this coming? Didn't you see the government getting a bloody nose, giving the preliminary pieces of evidence you got from the investigation? The next thing here is, I want you to know. I want you to tell us. The question is too important. The question is too important. So I want the council to tell us this case, a landmark case. And the Fadiga said it was even reported on the BBC. We all know that stories don't get on the BBC until they make the airways. So what do you think this verdict has caused the image of the rule of law in Liberia? Because I do believe that the war was washing Liberia, given how our international partners are concerned, given how the drug cartel and terrorist financing moved. There are two separate entities that move together: drug cartel and terrorist financing for drugs in the tune of 100 million United States that we discovered in Liberia. And our government lawyer go to court and they say, yeah, we did our best, but we lost the case. What do you think the possible implication that this verdict will have on the long-term future of this country judiciary?
No, so that's it. That question now is a question that is subjective, right? It's left for how individual will feel. And for me, as a legal practitioner, I feel disappointed that I lost a case, but it cannot derail me to the extent that I get so confused and don't keep focused on moving forward with the job that I have to do as a prosecutor. I mean, I don't know how people, other persons will feel, but as a prosecutor, I feel disappointed. That we lost a case. I think we put our energy into it. We were not there. We were not into anything to say. We didn't know anybody. In the case or so, we took our file. We got the evidence. We went to court. We lost it. We feel disappointed for the time that we put in. But then, is that there are lessons learned. And that's the reason why we're going to go back. That's the reason why we have to go back, because we believe in the evidence. And if 11 persons of the 12 persons say they don't believe in the evidence, then we must find out why they don't believe in the evidence.
Yes.
And in the process of finding out why they don't believe in the evidence, and we identify that others of people are available who we should have called in, we'll call them in. And that's the time that whatever image that may have been derailed will be in the redeemed or redeemed.
Yes, thank you for at least acknowledging that the image of the judicial system was derailed.
I said me. I said me. I said Dr. Francis, I said me.
Okay, thank you for acknowledging that the image of the judicial system may have been derailed, but actually,
yes.
Yeah. But again, I think that
depending on who is analyzing the case.
Well, you know, the case is on the world stage now. But anyway, I want to Councilor Lamy, can I just ask you for 1 minute?
Fadiga, let me just ask.
Fadiga had a question, and then we'll go.
Before I forget, Councilor, you said everything in Sano kept dodging. I think Dr. Francine Toy, right? I want you to walk all through this process of evidence gathering. One was, do you believe that the crime scene was contaminated too? What evidence did you guys present? I want you to tell me, what did you guys tell the court, present in the court for which those guys were acquitted? Since the jury cannot tell us, what did you present?
We presented the drugs. We presented the drugs. We presented the money. We presented other information to the court, and I mean and the evidence are there. I mean, you have the rebel witnesses to testify. There's an open record, so we don't need to name all of the evidence that we presented. The records are there. I think Councilor Pygos should have the file. He had been going through it. The records are there. He himself, he said he just don't know why we lost, because the case was strong. And those are some of the things that we are concerned ourselves. So the records are there, Fadiga.
Okay.
Do you believe the jury may have been tempered?
I'm gonna go to Councilor Lamy now. Councilor Lamy, please talk to your professional to professional. Because the men say the rest are on the show. Now,
I know some people said that.
So, Lafayette, Gu, Councilor Gu, how you doing?
The issue of drug possession is not quantity.
You guys hearing me?
I can hear you. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
I want to ask, and firstly, before I ask Councilor Gu my questions, let me just say for the record that Councilor Gu is right that they tell us in law school that your duty is to seek justice. So it's better to allow 10 guilty people to go free than one innocent person to be found guilty. They tell us all those things. But what I always tell myself and tell colleagues is that before you take a case to court, you should be damn sure that you'll win that case. You don't go to court when you are assuming that you are not sure that you'll win. You should be at least 75% sure that you'll win to go. So, Councilor Gu, what happened to this company called TRH? Was anybody from that company among the people who were indicted?
No.
If the answer is yes,
no.
What was the actual evidence? What was the link between this person or this company? Because companies can also be held liable for such things. What was the link, the nexus between this company and the drug trafficking? And if nobody from that company was indicted, why? That's my first question.
And Lamy, and that's what I said to you, right? There is a process of review. Mind you, now, TRH were considered by the investigators as whistleblowers, right? They called in the security forces, and that's how they came in, arrested the drug or so. So they were witness. The drug came in their name or so, we treated them as whistleblowers, a person who would support us. Our investigation, our review and follow investigation. If it is established that that position that we put them in, we wrongly put them in that position unknowingly, believing that they were acting in good faith, If we go beyond and stretch the investigation further and find out that it was just a plan to have them, or relief from whatever liability or whatever culpability, I can tell you the truth. After one person will call for them to be, arrested and prosecuted. I can tell you that.
Lami, you are muted. They're not getting you.
You getting me now?
Yeah,
You're getting me now? Okay, so we were told that the drug bust was as a result of intelligence received from the US government and the Brazilian government. So are you not telling us that it was TR-ish that actually provided the intelligence on this matter, and not the Americans and the Brazilians?
I'm saying to you that TR-ish was the one that called the security forces in when the people went to do the transaction. That the extent that I know as the prosecutor.
No, from what I read from the case file so far, I've not come across that. It's possible there's somewhere in there, but I've not come across that particular information in the case file. That TR-ish called the security forces in to arrest the people. I've not seen that so far.
So that's what I say, Lami. Everybody is identifying gaps in the case. We as prosecutors have to go back and look in the case and see what are those areas that these questions are talking about, they are making sense. And what can we do with the sense that they are making in the analysis that they're making? That is our responsibility. And that's what I have called for and I'm calling for. And so if somebody were probably wrongly placed in the position, we will put in the position to be in.
Okay.
That's what I can say.
Yes.
If we treat somebody with honor, respect, or whatever, and that person needs to be treated like a prisoner, like an accused person, we will treat that person when we are going through the review process and make a determination. We'll treat that person like an accused person.
Okay.
And we should do it.
Thank you, Mr. Lami.
Doc, another thing, let me ask Councillor Good this also, because I'm not sure whether the investigation established this, even though the defense raised this issue. It is understood that TR-ish has some special privileges when it comes to importing goods into Liberia. They don't go through the normal system. So they have carte blanche to just bring whatever they want to bring in. Nobody inspects it. Did your investigators bring that forward also in the investigation? Because I think that was key to how this case.
That was never to our knowledge. Never to our knowledge.
But the prosecution witnesses spoke about this. I think even the people who run the port now, how they call that organization that runs the port presently, APM Terminal people talk about it. Otello Gabler from the New Dawn newspaper talked about that. So how did your investigators miss the particular crucial piece of evidence? Now you tell you that these people were whistleblowers. It turns out that these people have carte blanche to bring whatever they want to bring into this country, and nobody can question them. So how do you square that cycle?
So, Lami, there are several cases in this country that we won and several cases that we lost and won. This other one is something that requires us going further. Right? During the trial, look, that's what I said. Not every like one my friend and brother, and Pedro always said, man can talk all. Right? On this platform, we'll not talk all.
Okay.
We will go back.
Let me ask this question, please.
I believe that from the review, from my own review of the, I see some little some gaps, and that's why I speak the way I speak.
Yeah,
I see that there were people that we treated differently, but they should be in different category or in the category that we treated in.
Okay, Councillor Muali has a question for you.
Thank you, Councillor. You know, Councillor Bagua has
we lost this case. It hurt us a lot. We put a lot in the process. We prosecutors. We put our time, effort in it. My colleague put a time, effort in it. We lost it. We believe that we will go back and review the evidence. As the public is so much concerned about it, the world is concerned about it. We have to go back, review the evidence, and see where we went wrong. Like I said, When we identify what's going on, if we place people into categories that they shouldn't have been placing, we will bring them in the category they should be in, and we'll proceed after them.
Councillor, good.
I think
Well,
that's
he
a
has
fair-
a question for you.
Councillor, yeah, Councillor Kpagoi, thank you very much for
Yeah.
bringing out the ignorance in with the non-lawyers here. And you know, as we are going, somebody asked me, they say, ask the councillor who name were on the bill of lending. And now, this brings me to Councillor Kpagoi's point. The people who name were on the bill of lending, I would suppose, because if they are coming in the name of TRH, and Councillor Kpagoi just said that they have some degree of carte blanche. They can bring things in the country without being inspected. That's the first point. The second point is we all got to know, maybe the information to the public was wrong, that it was the American intelligence and the Brazilian who tipped the government out. How come the people who name on the bill of lending, the people who the consignment was coming to, the people who supposed to go receive it and give it to the other people for distribution, then you say the people they not commit no crime, they cooperating, they are whistleblower. What kind of whistle they blew? Councillor Jeb enlighten me on the what kind of whistle they blew.
The whistle that led to the NSA officers going to arrest the NSA and the DA people going to arrest the money and the people at the time they were
So
doing
the
the transaction.
information that it was the American
Yeah, but
intelligence
more
and
Ali,
the British intelligence
you
is
must
wrong.
not going back and forth the thing. And you have the whistle the blue, that the whistle the blue.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking now is a follow-up question.
What more whistle you want to-
So the
what more whistle
information
you
that
want
it
to
was
send
the
the blue?
American who
Councillor,
tipped the
Councillor,
government on
please.
is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor, last question. Okay, let me just ask this question, Sandra, and then you will come in. You'll be the last person to ask your question, and then the councillor will give his closing, and then we'll go to the phone lines. Somebody just asked, send me a question, said, did the Americans participate in the court proceeding? And if they did, what were their role?
If the American participated in the coup proceeding,
Yes.
yeah, we know there was no participation of the Americans. They will obviously go to watch the trial. I don't know to what extent they say participated. Did they appear as witnesses or what? I don't know.
Considering they didn't want blew the whistle, I mean, they didn't want blew the alarm, right? That this ship was coming with drugs in it. So did you think that you guys needed to ask them questions about, you know, how did they know and all of that?
The record does not prove, shows that.
Okay. Another question someone brought in was, do you think now that you said you are studying the gaps and if there's people out there who are the culprit, the real culprit, because we don't know the actual culprit of this case, do you think you guys have the security, justice, investigative capacity now to move forward?
I didn't get you clearly. Can you go back, please?
So you said that you guys are moving forward and you guys are kind of assessing the pros and cons of your work. Do you think that you guys have the now investigative tool, the capacity in order to move forward, like to get the real culprit of the case?
First thing, we have to make our own determination as to where we as a lawyers went wrong. And then where we need assistance to come in to help us move forward, we'll ask for it, we'll request it.
I was asking, what do you think? I wanted to know your opinion about, do you think that...
No, what do I think? Tata Francia.
Yes?
Who you got lawyer right in the studio there? There are ways we answer questions. We may not answer it the way you want us to answer it, but we'll answer the question. You ask me, and I've told you, first thing we got to determine, because you are pushing now the issue of capacity. So the first thing we got to determine where we as the prosecutors went wrong. Maybe the investigative report were good. Maybe we didn't present it to the court correctly. Maybe we presented what was brought before us, but it was just not good. We got to make that determination first as prosecutor to see where the we go wrong. And then where we need capacity building, where we need to get support, then we put in for the support. That's what I'm saying.
Fair enough. Daniel Sander, you the last person before we go to the phone lines.
Okay, so I heard Councillor Lamine indicating that the company that brought in the Continuum, the shipment into the country, has something like a carte blanche to import whatever they want, and the government like trust them and what have you. But then when I heard Councillor Gould saying that the government considered this company a whistleblower, I get confused. So, Council, are you saying to us that these people brought in a Continuum, they shipped into the country, and when they realized that the Continuum was a stockpile of cocaine, and they become a whistleblower automatically? Is that what you're saying, Councilor?
And to the extent that I know about that, they got concerned as to why this whole demand for purchase this amount, right? To the extent that I know, and to the extent that the investigation I know established at the time.
So they got concerned at what?
Somebody's offering this, offering that, offering for $36,000 value. So you got concerned, but why is it in here? Why is so much? I know I got chicken here that cost value that value 36,000. So somebody want to pay almost $1 billion for it, then it speaks volume. So let's bring people in. That is the extent to which our investigators, I know, use them. We say if going forward, we have reason to believe that that was just a scheme, right? Maybe because they might have already had information that this thing here, you can't go nowhere, hey, we go to catch you. So we gotta now program a scheme in a way that will deceive the people to believe that, oh, we don't want on earth it. When we establish that, we'll go for them. That's what I'm saying. So, we didn't establish it then. We established it now, we'll go for them.
Thank you,
Nobody's untouchable here. Nobody should be untouchable in my prosecution. Nobody is untouchable. Nobody should be untouchable. Once we establish that you are linked to the ground, we'll go for you.
That's the original thing I suggest we hear from the public too now.
Yes. That's the last question, and then we're going to go to the phone line.
The next question I was asking, normally before items are shipped into Liberia, BVAC does what you call pre-shipment inspection. So I do believe with all of these safety mechanisms being put into place to convey goods from one port to another, I'm of the conclusion that the idea that you consider this company a whistleblower when they call you in, I think you are wrong. Because you should have even gone in there to ask for pre-shipping report. How can you bring in a container into the country and you don't know what is in it, and now you're saying that, I mean, you are concerned about somebody putting up a higher bid for it and what have you. So I think the government, I mean, the entire case was messed up from the beginning. Because giving one of the prosecutors explanation here, I can definitely say that the corporates were gotten off the hook from the get-go. So why you went to the court there was just a kind of legal window dressing.
But Daniel, and you have formed opinion on the matter already now, so no issue.
So okay,
what I'm saying here today is not something that now already in the public.
Okay,
it's already
Councillor.
the people were considered whistleblower. So the kind of thing I'm saying on the radio
Councillor
to say the prosecutor kept talking to alternate is already out. So it's not a new thing.
Yeah, but Councillor, you consider those
You guys, please wait, yeah. Let respect the councillor, and then we'll move on. Councillor, we want to thank you so much for coming to inform us, give us the information that you know. As you move forward to assess the gaps in the case, like you acknowledge that there are possible gaps in the case, we look forward to you coming back to telling us the gaps and what are you guys going to do about that. Please do your 1 minute closing, and then we're going to go to the phone lines.
Yeah, Dad, before he goes on with a closing, I just want to say that every other thing the government of Liberia is not doing is pure milk. Because these people cannot be found. They left the country already. So what's the need?
But
No.
the counselor said, Daniel, that there may be other there's a corporate in the country. If the people are the wrong people, that's what the counselor said. That's
Daniel.
possible that these
So,
people.
so Daniel,
What
these
was the-
particular people who
what
were
was the
acquitted,
policy
these particular
extradition?
people who were
They
acquitted,
damaged the whole case from the beginning.
And Moali said a real corporate should be formed. And so counselor, please give us your 1 minute.
Let me just say something quickly to what Daniel said. These particular people who were acquitted, there's no way you can retry them again. So if you have to try people, it will have to be different group of people. So they didn't even have to leave the country. There's no way you can retry them again.
Why, Councilor Bago? Why?
A double
Government
jeopardy
cannot
will do
take
it.
appeal in criminal cases. The state cannot take appeal.
I don't know. But anyway, I have a 1 minute now, question.
Yes, you do, and you thank you. Let's give the counselor an opportunity to give his 1 minute, and thank you for coming to elaborate on the case for us and entertain our questions. So please give us your 1 minute. We're going to go to the phone lines and then do our closing.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Frazier, and thanks to all of you, Fatiga, the political panelists. I mean, the only person who is not, I don't know. I think again, he said he had the side, and so it's Lamin Pago, all everybody, politicians, they all got their side, open side. But we know people have already formed an opinion in this matter. And so we have said what we believe that is right to be done as prosecutors, and the public should look forward to see what the outcome of our review will be and how will we treat it. And if somebody, I can tell you the truth, if somebody tries to twist and turn anything, and if that will cause me to walk away from the Ministry of Justice, I'm going to walk away from the Ministry of Justice. But I'm not going to see established that somebody is involved into something and somebody want to call up that one. I don't know. I've not had the experience of that in my practice. I've not accepted anything of such, and I will not accept anything except maybe I'm pulled out of the review process. Yeah. So
Yes.
if I pull out of the review process, then where I can say that I just tell the people that I'm not part of the review process and I'm off. But to the extent that I know that I'm part of the review process, we're looking at the evidence, we're responding, we're defending the issues here. Wherever we find that people are culpable, we'll go for them.
Thank you. Ms. Kasaku, please hang on with us as we entertain calls from the Liberian people. It might interest you to hear what they have to say about the case as well.
He's left
and then
already.
that might help you or help Liberia. I just also want to make a disclaimer here. The views that you have heard are the views of the panelists and not necessarily, or not the network, basically. So thank you very much. Yagasi, just open the phone line. We'll talk about different things here today. Let the Liberian people talk to us and questions.
Okay, the numbers are 0777 771 055 101075 0777 771 055 101075. Let's talk to this first person. Good evening. Hello? Hello, you there? Okay, let's talk to this person. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Your name and where you join us from?
I'm Clarence K. Mambo calling from Ghana's Monrovia.
Clarence, let's hear you.
Okay, I wonder the counselor is listening to me. I have very two questions for him. Now, on the drugs case, American was the one gave all the information in the country. Why did he involve those people in their investigation? Number two, why really he want now to resume the case? Because I hear him saying even if they try to trial, it will not be the first group they release from the jail. It will be another group of setting that they're going to trial. What they're really looking for now, and if they try another group, so they may target the law on the first group. This is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hello, your name and where you join us from?
Yeah,
go ahead.
The flamboyant, the arrogant nature of the council of the tonight, we are highly disappointed. There is a feature. You can come in studio with that kind of boastful nature that you do everything. Try to condemn everybody on the show that they're not loyal, they can't see the issue. So if you get loyal, if you're not loyal, you can come on to speak on nothing that affects your or the future of the country. Once that, let's start playing mockery of other people. You the country like that.
Thank you. Let's talk to another person. Hello, your name and where you join us from?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, your name and where you join us from?
Okay, thank you. I'm Paul S. Rogers, and I'm calling from Bandersville District 11. And let me say good evening to Councillor Gu. I have two questions for Councillor Gu. The first question is that, Councillor Gu, I don't know if you know about the tracking company that had been in a port during the time Costa been speaking about it. I want to ask if that tracking company is still in existence, if they're still tracking or continuous and other things before coming into the country. The second issue is that is it true from Councillor Arthur Johnson on the show? Councillor Arthur Johnson said the person who names the continuous came in, the person went as witness. Is it true that the person went as witness or the person was acquitted along with those guys? Then last day, I'm disappointed in Councillor Arthur Johnson because when I listened to him, he said he was aware that the government was coming to lose the case because they fought the.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's talk to another person here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and where you join us from?
Thank you. GK Wunsale calling from Jakarta, Ria.
Wunsale, let's hear you.
I listened to Councillor Gu, it's very laughable. Councillor Gu want to ask a question. It's not a question, but the drug trafficking in the Bureau, Councillor Gu is not fun. On the Liberian people. So start skinning Liberian people. Councillor Gu is one of the 11 against military candidates. This man is in the government law. I listen,
your line is breaking up. You want to adjust and call back? Yeah, but your line is breaking up this way. Okay, let's talk to another person. Hello, your name and where you join us from?
Hello.
Your name and where you join us from?
I'm Alpha A. Sherry calling you from Madonna Street.
Let's hear you.
Okay. I want to appreciate all of you brothers in the studio for inviting our counselor, Gu, telling us like we are in juvenile class to lecture us about the drug issue. Hello, are you with me?
Yeah, you live.
Okay. In our little understanding, like the brother Mo said, how possible as a counselor concerning issues that will affect the future of the country, going after it, you are not prepared. One, you are not gather your sources as to how to know why this is in the country. Then you tell me that you're going back to do your drawing board to get after the wrong person or the right person. That is, it's too giving us to me. And the second one, how to do it. One of the panelists talking about Russia. You can't mention Russia issue into our problem in this country yet. You're going wrong. Don't put one into predicament. Russia is more than any other country. Russia is more than your country that they will go after only because of drugs coming to your country. Don't mention that.
Thank you.
To predicament. I'm begging you.
Thank you. Let's talk to this other person. Good evening. Your name and where you join us from?
Good evening. This is Lawrence Moses calling from Plainfield.
Lawrence, let's hear you.
Okay, I'm seriously disappointed in the counsel of the prosecutor that you trying to rationalize what they have done to the public because not everybody understands the legal understanding. But for the fact that we are in have been rent internationally, the entire country is frustrated. What they are trying to do is to find escape routes to just look for other people and just leave problems on them. They are not going to find people that brought the drugs into this country. They have compromised this. They are damaged the future of the people of this country, the young people that are dying daily based on with the intensive use of coups. We are disappointed in this government, and Liberians should look into this and give them one shot on 2023.
Thank you. Let's talk to this other person. Good evening. Your name?
Yeah, last call. Like I see, that's last call, and we're going to international line.
Okay, let's hear you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the panelists in studio for bringing the councillor in our presence today. I think the best case that the government of Liberia has ever won was Bernie Samuka case. For the issue of the drugs, the first information we all got, even when they were burning the drugs, they told us that they got the tape from the embassy. And that is the reason they say in their presence they were burning, and they say some that they will care for the prosecution evidence. Now we're hearing different information that it was not the embassy giving them the tape. Even quite recent, after that, we saw another 30 million or what kind of million came up, and they said they couldn't find the person who bring it. That is something they keep, the only case these people can win, and they will continue to win it, is those who are not in favor. But as long as you are in favor, you always lose and win the case against the government. But if you are not in favor, you will lose and government will win your case. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yegasi. Let's call that quit now, okay? And then go to the international line. I'm just looking at my time here. Let's take about 5 or 6 calls. Good day. Thank you, Yegasi.
Hello.
Good day.
Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Musa Keita. I'm calling from Minnesota.
Okay, make your point, sir.
All right, just 2 questions.
Go ahead.
First of all, it tells me that the chicken fuel in Liberia comes from Brazil, because the point of the destination of exit before the entry to Liberia was Brazil. 2 things happened. Either the container was swapped on a high sea and they were being brought by the Americans, or the drugs may have come from Brazil directly to Liberia. But it cannot be not only the knowledge of the TRH company. The TRH company must know how many containers they were bringing in totality. Either the American brew whistle to them, or the TRH brew whistle to the NSA, but the TRH knew how many containers they were bringing. So when the containers come on high sea, or the keep a decision of Brazil.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hello. Hello. Please don't hold the line when you call. All right. Walk away from your monitor and then answer the call.
James, can you announce the number? Somebody's just asking what is the number.
Those of you who are watching, the number is on the screen. Those who are listening is +231 555 11 99. For those of you who are watching, check the screen. You'll see the number. Hello.
Hello.
Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Sekou Kesley. I'm calling from New York. Just wanted to echo on some of the, I listened to some of the discussion, but quickly, I want for us to understand as Liberian that one of the major issues in Liberia, we are not touching the root causes of this whole drug issue. One of the major root causes, when you look at how the Liberians lose this case, when I say Liberians losing the case, because it was the Liberian government, which represents the Liberian people versus the drug dealers. And we end up losing, it has become an international disgrace, embarrassment to all Liberians around the globe. Now, the major issue here, we are not looking at our justice system properly. The justice system has fundamental flaws in Liberia. And some of those flaws, when you look at it, when you analyze it, it's like our prosecutors are not empowered by the government to give them enough funds, enough prosecutorial power, independence for them to even be able to pursue cases. They are only selective when it comes to political dissidents. Prosecutors are empowered to prosecute those people what the government wants to be prosecuted.
All right,
when it comes to criminals, even if they're in bed with the government officials,
all right, thank you,
that's
sir.
what happened. Misjustice. So we need to really look at the root cause of.
All right, Chief, thank you. We have to go to another call. Hello. Your name and where you calling from?
Yes.
Please walk away from your monitor. We are getting terrible feedback from you. Please.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Roland Freeman. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio. The Councilor Gu, I mean, I'm very, very surprised of him as to how he was sit today on this national platform and can better explain or walk the Liberian people through the real process. I don't have to be a lawyer to understand that if you say maybe we left the real people out, and maybe that somebody was supposed to have treated some other way, and we'll review ourselves and go back, and get them. It tells me that there was a foul play, that somebody was compromised in the process. This lawyer is not even remorseful of how they put Liberia into a very dangerous situation on the international scene, to have lost $140 million drug case in Africa. The news is everywhere. And he's going to be boastful on Spoon Network tonight and not remorseful for his action or for the things they have done to our country.
All right, thank you. Hello.
One more call, James, and then we'll go to conclusion.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, how you doing?
We are great.
Yeah, I'm Thomas William calling from Minnesota. I want to say thank you to all the panelists. I don't want you guys to give yourself hard time on the show. When the Americans get ready, we finally continue uno. So don't give yourself hard time. You have people on the show with master degree, with doctorate degree asking you questions, and you're referring to them as non-lawyer, so they don't have the requisite qualification to ask you questions. But you have those jurors who are even less, some of them not even reach first grade. Those Salaman Swan jurors.
sorry.
Who are their first grade, second grade, third grade students deciding on major landmark case. And you have educated people that more are with master's degree, Dr. Francia, Mr. Sando, they ask you to kind of critical question that you can respond to professionally, and you tell them because they're not loyal, they cannot ask you good questions. But you have those people who have acquitted a major landmark case who have no or serious level of education. Are you serious?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, man. Good day.
Yeah, God bless you.
Last call. Good day.
All right, let me get this. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Bossman, please lower your monitor or you walk away. What is your name and where you calling from?
My name is Ori Bamuya, and I'm from Conakry, Ghana.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Good day. The first thing, Councilor Blue, I'm very surprised I heard tonight because this type of case here, the Minister of Justice, you have a case in court where the American were involved with information. Even the document he sent at the court, watching on Spoon the last time, the guy from the court there displayed the document at OKFM. He didn't even approve of the document. He, the Minister of Justice, he didn't even read the document before he could send to the court. So there's some the government aware of the case, so that why they decide for the case to go in this manner. You're aware? If you look at Councilor Gu, what he's saying, now the people that informed them for the company there, the American, the getting one, informed them about the drug that leaving from Brazil. The time the drugs entering the container enter to the port, from the port to the company there, the American were involved into it. Even the American on the scene when he contacted the DA and the police to go and arrest the drug. They didn't tell you tonight that the company informed them on it.
No. Okay.
So I don't really know. There's a contradiction there. Minister of Justice, they have a crucial case here. He didn't go to the court. He said that a set document, a letter to the court that I even signed it. He sent it to the court there. Then from there, the questions asked the justice system.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Good. I want to give you the opportunity to just speak to us, maybe a minute or under a minute, and then now that you heard the callers, and of course we'll go back into our closing.
He left the line. He's now on the line.
Oh.
So maybe he calls back.
Okay. All right. Councilor Good, if you're listening, thank you for coming. We look forward to having you again. Guys, let's just kind of reflect on what we discussed here today, and perhaps you can give your closing thoughts. So I'd like to start with Fariga. Fariga, and of course, thank all of you guys for being here. It's 3 hours already, but Fariga.
Now that we've been going after the thing, going over the case, a lot of things starting to make sense. There was an article a couple of weeks ago. It started in the news. Yeah, hopefully he will answer. The Councillor Gu is back.
Okay,
Councillor,
can you just wait? Let he just Councillor Good, can you just give wrap up in a minute because of time? I know there was a lot of questions, but comments to you, but
yeah, but let me say again, Dr. Francia, sometimes when you are speaking to issues, it doesn't in any way mean when you raise some issue that you denigrating or you overlooking anybody. It's just to say that the Lamin Paigo came and said that, he agrees with me that it is our ethics. So that's what I was trying to say. When I say that it is the ethics of lawyers, prosecutors, that it is not your duty to convict, but to ensure that justice is served. And Daniel Sanders was taking it out of context. I was just bringing it back to say I can understand why that you took it out of context, because you're not a legal practitioner to know that. Only a legal practitioner will know that, because that is our ethics. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm not denigrating anybody else. So I heard some callers say, I was saying, I don't know what I was. But again, I can say as Liberians are frustrated. I knew I would not get, and I mean, much of the callers will come down hard or so. I know that because yes, some people say, I'm surprised. And yes, it is because today that I've been taking the position I'm taking and trying to explain something that is not sounding good into the ears of those people who are surprised, because they always know me to speak in such a way that they feel good to hear. In this case, we have not come to
30 seconds, Councillor. I beg you, gotta go. Time is far against us.
We have not come, we have not come to justify. I have not justified anything here tonight. In fact, from the beginning of the show, I made it clear that this case is over with. We have lost the case. I drove through the jury trial. I said because there's no reason why the jury will come up with a verdict without giving any reason.
Councillor, thank you so much.
To go and with all of the concerns that have been raised, it places us in a position to go back and do a review.
Yes, Councillor, we hear you. Thank you so much, Councillor.
Know what happened. How can I be saying?
Yes,
so we are saying we've been fair and frank enough to say to the Liberian people, look, my people, all of us are disappointed. Myself who say that I'm disappointed, the prosecutors are disappointed. There are Liberians who start to hear this matter. They didn't come from somewhere, they are Liberians as well.
Councillor, thank you so much. I'm sure this won't be our last time having you here. You come with information and some first-hand information to us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We have to go to closing now. Thank you so much for being here. Okay? Thanks.
All right, no problem. Another time we'll have the opportunity to appear on your show and speak also other issues.
Yes.
But we just want to tell the people we are disappointed with ourselves, and we'll try to do our best going forward.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you. Come back again. Yes, so let's move into our closing, gentlemen. So we'll start with Fadiga first. Fadiga, can you please continue?
Yeah, we are disappointed in you guys too. But there was something very important. It was breaking by the New Dawn newspaper. That TRH company, apparently they had duty free. I don't know by what means or on what grounds they had duty free with the LRA. And then in the same article, after APM Temne was subpoenaed to testify in court, APM said that, we are just a storage facility. These guys have some special preference at the LRA for which they have duty free. And it's the LRA responsibility to check the continuum, make sure that everything there. Apparently, the financial crime unit or financial investigator unit was investigating this TRH company. So this TRH company, besides that, it was on some tax evasion something. If you read the article, this TRH company had been on the government radar for a while. So it was not a company that the government didn't know. If you, it wasn't even in the front page Africa. Let me see when that story came out. April 27 edition of the front page Africa. So apparently this company, they would just come with duty free and something. So one, why did these guys have some duty free privilege? Why is it that the LRA did not inspect the container that those guys were bringing in? They would have, caught the thing short and no. So there's so many things in. Like I said, I refuse to believe that somebody in the government doesn't know what's going on. Some big hand. This company had a duty free. You know who have duty free in Liberia? How many people have duty free in privilege in Liberia? Our lawmaker have one, I know, and then a couple of other people depending on what you say. So that privilege is extended to few people in the country, and we can identify those people. So is it were they exploiting the duty free privilege? Is it because so? But like I said, this is Liberia. We know that some big hand has to be behind for $100 million of drugs to enter the country. And Councillor Gould left us with more questions than answers. I know he said, oh, they are sorry and we just something, but sorry is not just enough. It's the image of the nation that is at stake. 100 and something million people just walk away. Liberia could be equated to some narco state. Because not every day you see $100 million worth of drugs just come in a country and everybody just walk away. And the people in the that had a control, and I'm glad he mentioned that those whistleblowers, so they were sitting in court with his drug dealers.
30 seconds for the guy.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the government want to go with drug dealers. They stood side by side with drug dealers to prosecute innocent people. Oh, that's how it looked to me for now. But I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fadiga. So let's go to Council. Who came in first? Sanu, you came in next. Sanu, I'm sorry, Sanu.
Thank you, ma'am. I think a lot of discovery has been made here today, and some facts have been established because at least we had the opportunity. The public had the opportunity to hear from one of the prosecutors, and from the way the counsel narrated the story, it tells you that two things here. The government, the prosecution was not meticulous from the get-go, and that the conspiracy theory that we all contrary from the beginning that something might have gone wrong for which the government lost a case was a fact, because two things. This was a clever game to put the wrong people in the crime scene. And as you know, the court will not convict somebody who it is not convinced to convict. So it's clear. I cannot order my shipment from America or from anywhere around the world. It comes to Liberia, and then I call you and say, oh, come, what I order turned out to be something else the person want to buy. The first thing, they should have held this company as prime suspect in the investigation instead of labeling the company as whistleblower. That's the first mistake they made, and I do think it was not a mistake. It was deliberate. Okay, so it's good that the councillor left the line regretting and apologized to the Liberian people. But again, I don't blame anybody personally. This is just the overall defect within the system. And it would take a government, it would take a president who is committed, who has the political will to clean the system. You know, we can sit here and theorize and give all of the theories and everything about what happened. The country is being hurt on a daily basis. It's being hurt. One would imagine that the government would have, any serious government should have gone at all lengths to ensure that somebody bear the punishment for this crime. In other countries, handling drugs, regardless of the quantity, it's a major punishable offense.
30 seconds, Sanu.
so it's good that we now know that the government didn't act with due diligence. They intentionally got the culprit of the coke and it took the wrong people to court, and that's why the court could not convict them. So instead of blaming the jury, we can't blame the jury, we blame the prosecutor, we blame the government. This was a deliberate attempt to compromise the case, and they did it successfully. So every other thing they're doing now is just a damage control. You cannot go to the court on fishing expedition. When a lawyer go to the court and say, I'm prosecuting Mo Ali, that lawyer must have evidence to convince the court. You cannot go to court just for merely hosting or prosecuting somebody. So it was a game the government playing a game caught up with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Councillor Bako.
Interestingly, today the TRH people appeared at the Mika press conference, and the manager of TRH said that their lives are in danger because these people were free. He talked about his whistleblower role, and he also said they knew nothing of the content of the container. He said the cartels got a way of putting things in containers that were already sealed, so they didn't have any ideas. I mean, whether that's true or not is for a jury to test or for the government to decide to bring to court. He said they were whistleblowers. That's the reason why the government did not bring them to trial, and also that the people who came to buy the container from them threatened to kill them, or threatening to kill them if they reported the matter to the authorities, and also threatening to kill them if they didn't give the container to them. So I don't understand why they were paying $200,000 and also following it with threats. I mean, I think Fadiga can maybe, as somebody who has law enforcement or understanding, can probably tell us what happened. And then also, the government filed a raid at the Supreme Court and asking that the Supreme Court put a stay on the judge's order that they should release the $200,000 that they had seized. And I think the government was claiming that, in fact, the money isn't even $200,000. It's, I think, $113,000, even though the evidence that was presented in court says $200,000 all true. But they said they did an accounting later on and found that it was $113,000. So the other 80-something thousand probably absconded somewhere else. The Supreme Court rejected that. I understand the Justice in Chimo rejected that today, so they have to give that money back. I think they have also raised an issue that the person who they took the money from, the person claimed that the money was for someone else. So the person who the money for should come for his own money. But that's not a logical basis. The person who you took the money from is the person you returned it to. This case is testament to the fact that we have a serious problem in this country. We have a problem of rule of law. We have a problem of the system that has to be dealt with. And that's the reason why, someone like Councillor Gonglo has said over and over that if the Liberian people trust me with their vote, I'm going to change this system. We have to change this system. This system has to be broken down root and branch. There has to be a whole. We have to root the system up and rebuild it. There is no way this country is going to make progress if we allow the system that is there now to basically just be transformed a little bit, and then we all feel comfortable. There's a serious problem here that we need to react to.
Councillor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mo Ali?
Yeah, I was laughing because somebody said it is 7 or 1,000 going too late. Because we are not lawyers, so we see things very differently from the common man's perspective. And I'm happy that Councillor Bagoe brought some issues out. The people who name on the bill of lending, they say that they didn't want the whistleblower. When throughout this case, we've heard that the Americans were the one who did the tip-off. The Americans and the Brazilian intelligence said that ship coming containers on there, those containers are full of drugs. But Councillor Gu has flatly denied that the American had anything to do with the whistleblowing fact, which I don't believe. In the first place, we are talking about $100 million worth of drugs. We are talking about drugs that is damaging the future of the country. if the prosecutors would not take anything serious in this country, the other one they thought to take it serious. If we go prosecute on our political thing and you not take it serious, there's no problem. But the one that concerns everybody, because the drugs come in, it comes in, the people take it, those who take it, they turn to criminal. But above that, you are also inviting cartels in this country. We all know when cartels are established in countries, what happens? You look at the case of Colombia, you look at Mexico now. So money you get, you found 200-300 bodies in container, or they go to whole town and kill everybody. That's what we are resorting to here. This is not just somebody go steal $100, you kill them and prosecute them, or $4,000-5,000. We're talking about drugs that is damaging the future of the country. And people who prosecuting took it so lightly, like it meant nothing to the country. When every day we are complaining, and robbers coming, people jacking phone, people jack. When I hold drug finish permeating this country, that not phone they will be jacking. That human being here, they will be cutting off. In the money, just get out, you find body, so you see here on the other side. The men who go bring the drug, one go stand there now, as Councilor Pago explaining, he say they're afraid for their life, this and that. Who tell you to go bring drug? Those things are very funny, and you know, somebody say I'm a go sleep, so I will go sleep, no problem.
Okay, I guess, thank you so much. You know, I always like to thank you panelists for being here, for making the sacrifice to keep Liberians informed about trending issues in our country. I want to tell the callers, thank you so much for providing your information here. We respect your views. You add a awesome dynamic dimension to the show. Those are in the commentator section. I want to also tell you thank you. You also give us food for thoughts on many times when we are on the show. I just want to talk about a few things, and then we're going to end the show. One is, I believe that October 10th will give Liberians the opportunity to select new leadership for the country. And in your thinking process about who should move our country forward, some of the things that Liberians need to consider is, like, you know, the society change that is happening in our country, the impact of drugs in our country. I think that's really has to play a role in terms of how you think about who's going to protect you from drugs coming into the country, who's going to empower our justice system. I want you to think about technology. You know, a new leadership in our country will also be very cognizant of the role that technology is playing now in society. You know, somebody said that, you know, maybe the drugs were exchanged on the sea. That is possible. That's the manner in which that we have technology working these days in the world. So we need to have a leader who's very cognizant about, you know, the use of technology. We need our economy, somebody who knows our country very well and understand how we got great resources in the country. We got iron ore, we got fertile soil, we got gold, diamond, logging, you name it, that we can actually someday be food secure, provide food security for us. A leader who understands our trauma history. You know, a lot of times people come here, or we hear that people talking about the effects of the war. So we need a leader who would actually pay attention to that, because I don't think the effect of the war is far related from the poor governance that we're seeing now, and also the influx of drugs in our country. And lastly, we need a leader who basically will understand how the world is becoming more and more interdependent now. And so you have to be really up to, Sandra used the word geopolitics. You have to be up to geopolitics, the geopolitics of the world. There's a few announcements I want to make. The CPP will be having their program in Bassa. They're going to be selecting the running mate for Mr. Cummings. It's going to be happening in Bassa. I'm so proud to actually state some of Charlene's accomplishments, that the things that she's done in Liberia, and more we'll talk about this. One of the things she's done is she's the highest donor to educational aid in Bassa in Liberia through the Brunskin Foundation. She uses at least 15% of her annual income to educate Liberian students from kindergarten to university level. She has contributed at least 500,000 LRD to Liberian government hospital in cash, donation, and different payments in kind. So I think Charlene actually is a rising Liberian woman who will contribute to empowering Liberian. She is a very astute lawyer, founder, a co-owner of the Charles Bronski legal firm. So I just wanted to tell you, thank you for joining us. I wanted to give you a little bit of who Charlene is. I'm sure we'll have a show where we'll talk about this. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you, guys. It was a wonderful
you had to rub it in.
Well, about the success of a woman, right? A success of a woman. Yes.
Right,
show. I think it was an awesome show, honestly.
Yeah, it
it.
was an awesome show today.
Yes. Okay, James, you take it away from me. Let me go find something to eat. Bye.
From the CEO, stand with the spoon. And your boy, Friday the South and then charges on the beat. To get your information.
Okay, folks, that's it. Join us tomorrow when another edition of the show will be right here for you. I'm Yekezi Zobin. It's been a pleasure here. Good night, James.
Spoon gonna tell you what is happening in Liberia.